Yeah, unfortunately, boss, I mean, you're here if you want to say anything. The connection, the audio of X, unfortunately, has degraded a little bit. I've had some issues. We do a lot of spaces here. So the audio was not as optimal.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to get a feedback on if I was able to talk about the points about the the narrative, the timing, and the utilization of which liquidity pool under what circumstance. Was I clear in that presentation at that part or
That
no?
was difficult to hear, and honestly, as we convene together as traders, it would be wonderful with the quality of audio that we have now to go over or to reiterate some of the time and the time elements that you were incorporating within, our heart of the community. I think everyone here would be very grateful and appreciative. The audio, unfortunately, Michael, was not optimal. And we did hear, and is very listenable to go back to, but it is not, it's just not pristine, unfortunately. So,
Yeah, I don't usually look at the comment section. Like I go into a zone and I'm just going on. But if I would have known it was, chopping or not delivering as I was hoping it would be, I would have done something differently. But I was in my element and wasn't able to see it. But if if you could allow me to, I'll make a very short, right to the point video with it. But if you guys are here, if you got any questions you want to ask me, I got about 10 minutes if you want to have a go at it, or if Kit wants to
oh,
just
oh, oh,
jibber
oh.
jabber.
I mean, I would love to talk with you, boss, for real quick. I mean, I heard and I was really excited about listening to it. Was this is it from an old school forum? So I'm an OG guy here, right? So I'm going back to some baby Pips days, okay? If you don't mind, okay?
Sure.
So some of the young folks here might not know of your community from back in the day. So anyway, amongst your community back in the day within baby Pips, there was two macros that were talked about, one being at 403, two 430, a nascent range in impulse with a distribution off of the 430 price and treating it like a macro. There were two specifically that came out of London in the baby Pips days within your time frame. There was one from 2:33 to 3 o'clock, a 27-minute impulse, and then from 4:03 to 4:30. Myself and a few other ICT OG traders definitely trade this range, but I found it fascinating today your correlation even within your macros and fractal distribution of like the 50-10 and the relationship of the 11 o'clock price with the that original nascent range, we'll say, versus maybe I don't want to call it a reset or almost a retrace of said algorithmic delivery. So I don't know if you could touch upon anything at all within maybe what you were saying there. I heard you mention a time it was like 416. It was a 106-minute range. I think you referenced. Would you mind expounding on that idea, sir?
Well, let me briefly state this. During Baby Pips days, and anybody that's been with me for the entirety of me being since at that time to the present, I mentioned it several times that I was actually revealing everything from journal to presentation, my exact progress of where I was at, the things I was using that led me to my present understanding and what I am able to employ. So you were getting right directly from journal entries from the 90s being presented in baby pips, encapsulated little portions like breadcrumbs. So they were not refined in the sense that here's what everything is in its final form. It was me slowly. You remember something on Baby Piss? What I did one night, I was literally watching a movie and really wasn't interested because my wife was watching this rom com with me, and I had no interest in this movie. So I was looking at my phone and looking at my computer, and I was thinking to myself, I got an hour more of this movie, and I just can't get into it. So I was looking at Baby Pips, and I saw all these people coming out there all the time saying, "This is what you do, this is what you don't do," and it was bullshit, nonsense. So I said, I want to see if I can create another of me. If I put out there in the same timeline everything that led me up to where I am right now, If I put people in the incubator, the test tube, if you will, look at this, focus on this, and do this, do this, do this, do this, and then spoon feed out in incremental delivery of what it is that I went through, could I create that same outcome of ICT 2.0? And so it was kind of a social media experiment on my part. I wanted to see if everybody was given the same things to focus on in the same order that I did, will the results be the same? And honestly, it hasn't been. It hasn't been the same. And that's not a mark against me as a trader, teacher, mentor, or whatever. It's just the circumstances just didn't create the same outcome that it happened for me. So anything that you're asking me about, what it is I taught about baby, because if you think about it, I don't have any mention of that material. Like I bring nothing to it. I never say go to look at this anymore because that was all infancy of my understanding and learning. So by presenting that to the community on Baby Pets back then, I'm the same guy right now that I was there and calling highs and lows and doing some of the executions back then. And I was wanting the people that watched that to be inspired to continue to study what it is I was presenting. If you remember, I wasn't really teaching the things I was executing on. I was doing other things because I knew that would be the hook to keep you in there watching, but still going through the process of learning what it was I was bringing out slowly, incrementally.
I mean, but
So,
you very clearly were and have been an outlined fractal delivery, right? And
oh
time-based
yeah,
fractal
oh
delivery.
yeah,
And that's like what I don't want to say is a false dichotomy, but you've really simplified a very complex concept by presenting it in a very easy way for folks to conceptualize and understand. So the
today,
fractal delivery is what you've been doing from day one, right? And the
yeah, yes,
time-based fractal delivery and understanding the correlation between that and seeing those early days and how you've expounded upon that just as a OG, like I said, you know my story, right? Like I found you through, alleys and
yeah,
CDs and like negotiations with folks of like black market kind of stuff, but that's kind of just what it was. And
yeah.
finding the internet coming out, and then just how you've evolved within each one of your mentorships, and how it really, in my view, as again an OG listener and follower of you for a long time, that just the way that you've expounded upon time. And anybody that trades with you to some degree is going to understand liquidity, the liquidity paradigm. They can understand market structure if they'd like. They're going to have an opportunity to really delve into what is algorithmic fractal delivery, and the different time frames that you kind of go over, and the kill zones. And I mean, you offer or present an Asian protraction, you offer and present a London protraction, you offer and present a New York protraction. I mean, you very clearly lay out within models through market makers and through your standard deviation theory. At least that's what I resonate with, mate. Like, I just want to say, like, through fractal delivery and what you do, just from one OG student to, a mentor, that's really what resonates with me, and how you've taught over the years and how you've really carried that into even more refined time within fractal delivery.
Hmm. That's awesome. I'm glad that's what you specialize in. But as you can see, there's lots of things, and if people
You're,
don't
you're
really
so
resonate with that
correct. You're
aspect,
so correct.
it's literally not saying that just because you don't see it that way or have an affinity for that portion of it, that you can't find something that's applicable for your own trading. It's a wide array of things that you can form fit to yourself based on your personality and when you can engage the market price.
You're right. That's like the 3D version of all of your teachings, is because it's form fit to an individual's personality, right? Because you have
Hmm.
so many, I would almost say like a Rubik's cube, or an angle or a fit for a person to find a way to resonate with a model, or even a logic or a paradigm towards how their approach will be within, again, the for me, the overarching theme is algorithmic theory, algorithmic principle, fractal delivery. And those are overarching themes, I think, that are more of an advanced student, maybe someone that has followed you for a long time, aka maybe a charter student, versus someone that might be learning from you today.
Well, I will say this: by privacy, I can't reveal who I'm referring to, but they know who I'm talking about. I have 7 individual charter members that have gone beyond the scope of what I taught and what I hinted at in a lot of things. But there's only so much I can go without causing personal issues in my life that I don't want to have to deal with. But they have done things in the direction and the little subtle hints that I lay down in some of the content. I point to spend time doing something here or start doing something here. I can't get in trouble for that. There's no way that anybody can say, you did, no. But the students have gone beyond that and they have not wrote a book, okay? Javi, I know you probably are listening or will listen to this. This is no dig against you, okay? But I get so many people asking me if the stuff in that man's book is what the algorithm's doing. And again, I just had it again this over the weekend here. There is no correlation, zero correlation to what it is that I'm trying to showcase to you without saying, here it is, folks. None of those things have any relationship whatsoever. But I find it fascinating. I think it's a wonderful, side quest. But if it really was it, I would tell you. And it's not a knock against him. It's not a way of suppressing any kind of income he can make off of his book or any future writings that he does. I'm just basically saying that that's not it. Okay. And if it was, I would be honest and tell you. But I do have 7 students, he's not one of them, that literally are on the right path. And they know it because we've communicated. Okay. I've told them, I said, don't talk about it, don't share it, because what you're going to discover if you keep doing what you're doing is so close to what it is I can't show you. It's too good. It's too good for public consumption. It really is too good. And some of the things that you're doing are very, very close to that. So you're not just simply saying, well, ICT said this, so I'm only going to look there. I'm only going to do what he said there. There's times where I've mentioned and hinted saying, spend time looking at it like this. I did it today in the presentation. I hope it came through when I was talking about the 15-second inside
No,
of the
if you wouldn't
9:30
mind
to 11 o'clock in the
reiterating
morning.
that point one more time, mate, I promise you the audience will appreciate the sound quality and you reiterating that point. Pretty please.
Sure. Um, if you look at the market on a day-by-day basis between the 9:30 opening bell to 11 o'clock in the morning, always Eastern time, and from a 1-minute perspective, considering the market structure and all of the ebb and flow that's seen on the 1-minute chart, there's a lot of things that are going on inside that 1-minute chart that people can't see. They don't have any understanding of what's going on. And even if you're not someone that's equipped or even inspired to look at those lower time frames because you've seen other people say they're noise or they're too choppy or they're just useless information, that to me is a dumbass cop out, because what's the difference between whether you're watching that price fluctuation on a 5-second chart, 1-second chart, tick chart, 15-minute chart, 51-minute chart, hourly chart? Isn't the same fluctuation from tick to tick the same thing whether you're looking at it from one time frame to the next? Is the market somehow different? I'm asking. I'm not doing it rhetorically. I'm asking you.
No, it's fractal
It's the same. It's the
delivery.
same price.
Yes, it's fractal delivery.
It's the same price that's being delivered the same way. But when we look at it from a very short time frame, like sub 1 minute, the perspective that the algorithms are referring to, because they're not just keying up on a 15-minute this and that, or an hourly this or that. They're in there firing all day long, buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. And they're trying to capture fluctuations in disparities between price. So if we go in, not under the guise of, I'm going to try to take every potential trade that's available to me. That's not what I'm not trying to inspire that. But what I am trying to tell you is if you spend time between 9:30 in the morning, opening time for equities, to 11 o'clock, it's a very static 90-minute time period. It's not a cycle. It's just a very static portion of price action for the intraday range. If you spend time looking at that and you look for relative equal lows when you're bullish, see them on a 15-second chart. Note when they form. As soon as they form, note the time that it does that. And then how long does it run away above those before it starts to come back down? And when does it run those relative equal lows? By keeping a journal of when those things occur, you're going to start seeing an overlapping of a very specific element that I'm not going to come out and say, here it is, but you will see it. You will see it, it's undeniable, and you will see why I've waited on these live streams and when I'm broadcasting and calling candlestick by candlestick, why I'm not referring to any specific candle that you're questioning me about. It'll be obvious and it will help you understand why the daily candle is creating the lows, the short-term lows, why 1 minute candles get ignored, why fair value gaps stay open, why are other candles more salient to others on a 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute basis. Why am I only looking at that one? Because you're going to get the answer inside that 15-second chart. You can still see it on a 30-second chart, but as I mentioned in the presentation, but I'm not sure if it was coming across clear or not. I personally use the 15-second chart for that purpose. So when I'm talking and calling candlestick by candlestick, when I'm doing it in Telegram or when I was doing it on X, I have that 15-second chart in front of me. My phone, I'm putting the information out in public eye through that medium, but I have all of my monitors, showing me all the time frames I'm looking for with all the pertinent information I'm watching, but I'm watching that 15-second chart because I'm understanding that if I'm bullish, my bias is bullish, I know that I only want to be looking for price runs that's going to happen after a sell stop raid. That's like rocket fuel. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. And when you want to see the real secrets behind what it is I'm doing, when they're like, wow, how did you know it did that? When I'm calling out there publicly, read the comments. They're like, how did you know that? I taught that today. I'm showing you what it is I'm doing. And when I'm bearish, I'm the same thing I'm doing. I'm looking for 15-second relative equal highs. When they run up and bump that, and I'm bearish, I'm waiting for everything I teach you to unfold there and then work its way into the 1 minute chart. And then that 1 minute chart works its way into a 5 minute chart. And all of the order flow, the price continuum delivery is seen from time frame from 15-second up. Then you get the daily candle delivering as it should be. But as a real foundation to understanding why a daily range forms and ways that it forms, like why does it go down to a specific low? Why did you expect that low and not this one? The rules I gave, were based on economic calendar. They were based on pools of liquidity that cannot be hidden from you. Asian session lows when you're bullish, they're going to go down there when it's a high impact news driver, usually at 9:45 Eastern time or the 10 o'clock news drivers. They really want to wash those individuals out. And they know, especially if the market's rallied from Asia's open at 6 o'clock in the afternoon or evening time, Eastern time, local time, which essentially is the same thing as a restart in equities or index futures at 6 p.m. Eastern time after our 1 hour break. If we see that the market has gone like a 45-degree angle or just continuously moving higher from that period of time, but you have a 9:45 or a 10 o'clock news impact that's going to be high red folder, not medium impact. It's got to be high red folder news. If that occurs, then I'm anticipating those Asian lows, if they're relatively equal, they're going to come all the way down there for them. I'm looking for that. Now, when we use the London lows, a medium impact driver can see that happen. When I'm bullish, I'm looking for the lows below London to be washed out before the price rallies up when I'm bullish. Any other time, any other instance, okay, is when there is no news driver, they can still take it down to London. But it's based on where you're at in the premium to discount portion of the range of where you think the market's going to go to. So as a case study, as an example here, let's say it's Monday's trading and it's 7 o'clock in the morning and there's an absence of any kind of news on a Monday. But we are in the discount portion of a range that you think is going to deliver over the course of 300 to 400 handles. And I'm not saying that number of handles is essential to this being true or not. It just means that whatever your weekly objective is, where you think the weekly range, one single candle for the week, is going to go up to or go down to. In this case, if it's bullish, there's no news on that Monday. I still would anticipate London lows being taken out, especially if they're relatively equal, if I'm bullish. If I'm bearish, I would expect London relative equal highs to be rallied up to, and then the real move comes. So when you have the pre-market session between 7 o'clock in the morning to 9:30 in the morning, okay, those are generally every session always a potential. So without saying, I mean, if it's going to go to London lows or if it's going to go to Asia's lows, it's going to go to the pre-market session lows, right? I mean, that goes without saying. But when do I limit my understanding about entering that trade? What's the green light go to only focusing on whatever the liquidity is that's formed at 7 o'clock or after? It's when I'm in the upper portion of the price run that I think is going to be delivered for the weekly range. So if you understand discount to premium as I teach it, there's very little retracements as you get into the premium side of a price run. So if you know what you're looking for, you're not going to have deep retracements in the upper half because they're not going to allow retail Rick, as I mentioned today, to get a deep discount. They're not going to give them the opportunity to get in. So it's going to have them feeling like they have to chase price. And for people that are disciplined, they let those price runs go because they feel like they're chasing price. In the delivery, when it's below equilibrium of whatever that price run is you think. So what starts the move and what ends the move in a perfect world for the weekly raid on buy side or trading to an inefficiency that's in premium. Whatever that range is that you define for your weekly objective, like I framed it based on what I showed you this week. Once it hit it, I was not interested. Even if non-farm payroll wasn't a factor this week, I would not have traded on Friday because what I opened up the week with wanting to see it delivered to, it delivered. So I have to have boundaries. I have to know this is as far as I'm willing to go in there in this current climate. So knowing which pool of liquidity you're going to be aiming for and why is essential, and it's crucial to be trading with the current present narrative. Knowing how far it's going to go down when you're bullish before it goes higher. Because all of the cleanest price runs, the most ferocious, the most explosive type sustained price runs, always, without fail, will happen after an opposing liquidity raid. When you're bullish, sell stops will be rated, and then it runs. When you're bearish, buy stops will be rated before it drops and runs. So when you can bring all these ingredients together, where your higher time frame weekly chart, you're really bullish, you think it's going to go to an objective. I've been teaching that since I've been teaching as a mentor, how to determine that. But the confusion is where students and traders that come into my listening range, they say that I complicate everything and just tell me the bias. What's the easy way about it? Bias is easy. Are you bullish or bearish? And you just anchor to a weekly chart based on what you think it's going to do there. That's an easy thing. But that doesn't translate to knowing how you're going to work with that bias intraday. And that's why you get the Goldman Sachs boys that come out there and they'll say, anybody tells you to trade their 1 minute chart, run away from them because they're con artists. Nobody can do it consistently. Nobody. And here we are, a community that consistently fucking does it. So they want to ignore that. They want to pretend it's not there. But I'm telling you, focus on these things, okay? Because like I've done all the time as a mentor, I'm not telling you something just to believe it because I said so. My whole reputation has been built on the fact that this is what I'm telling you to go do. And you will see that in the price action. You will see the evidence. You will find it in your own hands, and it's undeniable. It doesn't matter what anybody else says about it. If you see it happening over and over and over again, is someone going to change your mind about what it is you're seeing? Fuck no, they're not going to change anything. You can see it. Once you have that underneath you as experience, no one's going to tell you that it didn't happen, that you've been watching it for months and years and you're able to make money off of it. Someone's going to argue and tell you that you've been using the same logic to nail down the low of the day and then ride that son of a bitch all the way up into the afternoon. And then the benefits of understanding that 2-hour window between 11:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the morning, 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern time, that 2-hour lunch period, knowing that if you're bullish, then all we're going to do is look for the low that formed at 10 o'clock Eastern time, going into where we had traded for that 2-hour period. During that 2-hour period, it's going to come down and blow out that 10 o'clock low. That's the lunch macro. That's exactly what it does. That's why it's there. It goes down to do what? To unseat those individuals that were fortunate enough to get in, but also too aggressive by trailing their stop loss right up to that low at 10 o'clock or the low that forms after 10 o'clock. That's why I tell you that New York lunch window Whatever that 10 o'clock low is when you've been bullish, whether it's going to reverse that day and go lower, or if it's going down to take the stops, that is an easy trade. It's an intraday contrarian setup. So if you have a contrarian perspective, if you're someone that's contrarian, that just like to go against the grain, miss the initial move of the day in the morning. Miss it. Intentionally miss it. And then at 11:30, start anticipating a drop down into the low that formed after 10 o'clock. And you will have an 85% likelihood of finding bread every single fucking day. And you don't have to be in the portion of the biggest part of the day. You don't have to be right about this or that. It's easy. How do you get into it? A silver bullet, 1 minute chart, 30-second chart, 15-second chart. They're there every fucking day. They're flawless. Zero instances where it does not form. It's there every fucking day, every day, every day. But the one, as I mentioned this morning, where it's a trending day where it blasts off and it just does not come back. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Those days, unless I'm pre-session, in there already, I'm missing those days. I'm missing it, which is the reason why I teach you to spend some time in that 7 o'clock and 9:30, because if you get real comfortable trading pre-market session, those tigers never slip out of your hands. You can grab a hold of their tail, and when they blast off at the opening bell, and it doesn't even worry about the opening range, it doesn't even worry about first resistance fair value gap, it doesn't even worry about silver bullet 10 o'clock, it just keeps tearing people's face off, keeps going higher, 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 higher. The only way you can participate in that is to chase price, which is completely alien to what we do, or learn how to be positioned between 7 o'clock and 9:30. Pay yourself a little bit, roll a stop to something, so if it stops out, who cares? You get a nice dinner, paid to you for your participation, and just let it go. Let it develop. If you don't spend time with trying to formulate a long-term bias where it's likely to go to, you're never going to get these monstrosities of windfall profits. Those will never happen for you. They don't just happen consistently by blind luck. The people that do the time in charting and looking for these weekly charts or the daily chart that has a sizable swing objective above or below, those are the traders that are preparing themselves to see that. But then you have to do a lot of other things, which is weigh out what liquidity is going to go for. Well, without the economic calendar and an understanding of where you're at in that range of the implied delivery of that range of objective you're reaching for, that range between where you're at right now and where it gets to, that's an implied dealing range. It's not there in the chart yet. But you have to be able to see it as if it's going to be there. And then where you think it's going is terminus. At the end, that's the best case exit strategy for you. Measure that. If you're in the lower half of that when you're bullish, all the things I mentioned about the London low and the Asian low are true. But as soon as you breach equilibrium of that implied dealing range of where you think the move's already underway, okay, say it's like Wednesday or Thursday, you're going to see less likely for London low and or especially Asia's low being swept before it rallies again. Any other day, I'm looking for the liquidity at 7 o'clock in the morning to present 9:30 opening. That's like, if you're just going to look for a very obvious pool of liquidity that's going to aim for just about almost every single day, it's that liquidity between 7 o'clock in the morning and 9:30. Just study it. Don't take my word for it. Don't listen to me and say, well, there it is, that the gospel ICT said it, so therefore I ain't got a where you go and back test any of it. No, take what I said as a guideline and say, okay, I'm going to look at the NASDAQ or the S&P or the Dow. I don't like the Dow, but you pick your index and go through it. If you're a Forex trader, it's the same logic, folks. It doesn't change because it's no longer index futures. It's the same thing I was doing with Forex. The problem is Forex is kind of sleepy right now. It has its one little hit wonder, but everything else is like, it's cloudy. It's not worth my time trading the ranges.
What do you think about, mate, real quick? What do you think about the commodities? I've been looking at natural gas and I see an explosive move up into the $4. We've already had this distribution phase start. What are your thoughts on traders kind of focusing a little bit more, for example, on the metals and the Asian protraction with the large ranges that are being distributed through China and global distribution, and really how some of those models are really printing right now, right? Like gold in the Asian protraction is a lovely model for traders to trade. You know what I mean?
Well, as it relates to commodities, they are directly related to real supply and demand factors. And because we have a pending Taiwan invasion by China, we have all the stuff that's going on over in Ukraine. It's unfortunately going to be continued. Okay, they're going to keep that going until this administration's done because that's a cash cow for them. They keep doing it. They keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. But there's other things that are popping off. As I mentioned, like India and Pakistan. All these little theaters of war are collecting into what we're going to see as World War III. And when that pops off, energies are going to go nuts. They're going to go ballistic. Gold, I told you last year that it was going on 3,500 to 3,600. That's my target. It went to 3,500, I think it was recently, and then we're having that little retracement again. Gold's not done, in my opinion. And if we start seeing an escalation in the fevered pitch of being in a more global scale war, I mean, that's going to dogpile gold above 5,000. Like, who knows where it's going to go, because even it's been suppressed. If they let gold be valued as it should be, and silver too, it would be higher than Bitcoin. At Bitcoin level prices, it would be above that. So they suppress those things. But when we go into World War III level stuff, and anybody that hears this stuff and they think it's fear mongering, listen, I'm telling you, so you can prepare for it. So that way you're not surprised by it. You're not scared, because those types of things are actually scary. I don't want to see it I don't want to see it unfold. But those things, unfortunately, yield wonderful opportunities to profit from. I don't want to see people die. I don't want to see wars. I don't want to see droughts. I don't want to see all those things. I don't wake up and think, man, I hope the world comes to an end today. That's not what I'm saying when I tell you to be mindful of it. But as a trader, you have to be mindful of it. And metals are going to go continuously higher. Energy is going to explode.
Yes.
As soon as a wider theater of war opens up, it's going to go
Oil and
absolutely
natural
fucking
gas. I'm
bonkers.
extremely bullish on both of them, sir. Just I couldn't agree more on that statement.
The day that your newswire flashes that we have dropped bunker busters in Iran, and you're going to see it soon, oil is going to go fucking like go through the roof, and who knows where it's going? Like, who knows? $300 a barrel is not unheard of in a situation like that. I mean, it's a powder keg ready to go off. But the issue is timing that. Timing that is very, very, very difficult, because it's event driven, just like gold is event driven. So I get questioned all the time. Well, why don't you trade gold? Why don't you use a model? Give me a gold model. I've already given you trading models. But I'm comfortable with the volatility, the time delivery, all the things that happen in my markets of choice in the present climate. It's not that I'm against trading gold. It's not that I don't think you can make money with gold using my concepts. I'm just comfortable doing what I'm comfortable doing. Remember, I don't have to do any of this stuff. I don't have to make money from markets. Like, I'm already well-to-do. I'm blessed. But if I'm going to show something to students, would I reach for things that I wouldn't do with my own money right now? No. So if I'm going to be honest and come out and say, okay, if I were doing this and I needed to make my ends meet, what market would I be trading right now, and how would I do that? That's exactly how I teach. I'm not trying to prove that here's a handicap. Here's the hardest thing I could possibly do right now, and I'm going to show you how formidable I am and how proficient I am with trading in the worst conditions the history has ever known in terms of trading, because of the level of volatility. I could tell you honestly, there's many times I've thanked myself for not having participated on certain days, because I would have lost. I would have hurt myself, because even knowing that I see something in the price action, even though I see it's there, something inside me by experience, and that's a very hard thing to articulate to somebody that's not been doing it long enough, or trust the educator. And I'm going to place myself in that role for a moment. If I tell you something and I say, I'm not comfortable doing that, unfortunately, social media says, well, guess what that means? I'm going to go out here and do it, and I'm going to say, remember how ICT says don't trade on Mondays? When I only stated that if you're a new trader and it's not non-farm payroll Friday, I mean, that week, Monday is usually a day where I'm watching to see if what I'm anticipating is starting to build up. So it's like an accumulation day for what I anticipate the weekly range to do. And I'm okay if I lose 20, 30% of the weekly range objective on that Monday. I don't care. because I know that it's really showing me what I wanted to see is likely to happen.
Especially as you
But social media,
reference students to the NWOG, and as you've introduced that over time as well, like the gap theory that you've introduced, mate, it has been so spectacular for someone who might be a newer trader in some of your earlier content where they might not have had a model towards the trade that early part of the week. With the NWOG and your introduction of these models in latter parts of your mentorship, then you're really opening up that trader to apply the model to that said range, right? And I personally love that. Like the NWOGs are so important for draws on liquidity and then early parts of the week within reference towards Friday's range and or the gap formed, right? Especially on non-news catalysts within liquidity injection, right?
I would like for you when we're done listening to this old man talk a little bit. I would like to hear others here if they've noticed a new arena of opportunities in intraday trading when they employ the new day opening gap and or the new week opening gap. When we're in 20 to 30 handles in proximity to either one of them, and we can see that the structure of the market has changed to afford a retracement, they're like no-brainer trades. Like they're literally like they're just saying, "Hey, look, you got some free money over here. You want this?" And there's a lot of these types of setups that I let go because I'm waiting for something else. It's a bigger magnitude move or something I'm trying to teach for that particular session or that week I'm trying to focus on. But I let them go all day long, all the time. But I would love to know if the listeners here are able to see or have they've noted a increase exponentially in the level of opportunities that they see now by having that on their chart, because I'm convinced that if they spent any time doing it, it has afforded them more opportunities than they ever noticed before.
Feedback from the community, it's being requested. So speaker tag is there, it's available. We're going to go through, we're going to cycle through some folks.
Sir, can I say I raised
Calm
the hand
down, I'll
first?
call you Mr. Illiquidity. Do not interrupt. All right, there's a method in order to how we do these things around here. Pretty please put yourself on mute. Thank you. We will call upon you per person. You have an opportunity to describe what Michael is requesting, and then pretty please keep it short and sweet so we can get feedback from the community, which is what Michael is requesting. Okay, so go ahead and mute yourself, Mr. Liquidity. Thank you. And Alex, you're up first.
First of all, good morning. Good morning, every day.
Good morning, buddy. We can hear you loud and clear.
It's a nice I hear here.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
can't
I'm
hear
not
you.
sure we can hear you, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Can you double check?
Start over, please.
Yeah, we can hear you. If you have a Bluetooth, turn it off, everybody. Speak in the
No.
microphone of your phone, or make sure that you're eliminating outside noises. Pretty please.
Can you hear
Anyway,
me?
please, Alex. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Nice. First of all, I want to say thank you to Michael, to ICT, who was really what he thought, what he said. He's really saved my life. He saved my life from a lot of things. I learned his concepts. I was being day and night learning all he taught there, and I was be day and night taking notes, backtesting and watching it, because I was back in the days. I remember when I started trading the trading was very hard for me, and
How are you mapping and utilizing these ranges, my friend? I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kit, can
Yes,
I
sir.
just say something real quick?
Yes, sir.
So
When folks come forward, you don't need to spend.
Your connection has lost.
I appreciate your respect and all that, but you don't need to say all that. It's needless. You can do that in a post to me. So I don't want to act like a celebrity. I don't want you to treat me like a celebrity. We're just having a conversation.
Real talk. Just as he said within the space that I did here, was that you really were enjoying how you were able to deliver a message to folks, just like you were sitting in the living room, like you did in the 90s. Like it was just a regular conversation as an OG mentor being able to connect with folks and get their feedback, as this is what this opportunity is. Pretty please, if you are afforded the opportunity to speak, it's not about lauding him with praise. It's about having a regular conversation. And we're really, right now, we're trying to talk about price. We're really talking about some very good mentorship details with folks that want to understand these concepts. So pretty please, let's stay focused as a community with what is being asked of us. And that is to map out and provide feedback on what the mentor has provided as far as open ranges and opportunities in which to execute in current content within current market conditions. So again, pretty please, Alex, one more time. I'm coming at you, brother. Then we're coming to Focus next, and then Sam.
Okay, so I will have just one question, right? On that, present the fair value gap, right? After we sweep a low, for example, we sweep a low on that range, 930 to watch that new window. When you mention that 90-minute window, right? I really incorporate that with my
I
mom,
really, and that's it.
and I want to understand how it really works, because sometimes I get confused sometimes, you know.
So whether it's going to invert the size of the range, or you measuring the tick of the first presentation fair value gap, or you noting if there's a SIBI or a BISI, details maybe someone, a more advanced student, might have for the mentor. But a question nonetheless, Michael, is I think he's trying to understand more or less how to maneuver around the first pres. Is that correct, Alex?
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
If you don't mind, Michael, I know you presented this stuff in the past, and we as your students understand their levels of understanding within your presentation of knowledge.
I didn't hear a smooth presentation of what he was specifically asking for, so I don't even know how to address what he asked. So
Fair enough.
give him another chance to say it, because I don't want him to feel like, because we opened up with him saying, "Don't talk to
Yeah,
me."
that's fair, bro. Right on, mate. I think he appreciates the opportunity. So, Alex, pretty please, if you don't mind, would you restate your question for Michael? Your mic is muted, Alex. We're going to come back to Alex. We're going to keep it going, keep it flowing. That's what we're here.
Yeah, give him another chance.
We got him.
Please.
He'll unmute his mic and he can step back up whenever he likes. If the speaker tag kind of stays mute, then you there, buddy? I can't hear you, Alex.
Go to one more person.
Yeah, that's what we'll do, buddy. Do me a favor, Alex. Power down, power up. Come on back. X is undefeated. You know how it works. We got Focus here. We got Sam here. We're going to keep it going, keep it flowing. It's unfortunate, Alex, we can't hear you. So power down, power up, pretty please. And Focus, we're going to go to you next, buddy. You there?
Yeah, man.
All right, brother.
Not so many of just questions. I guess I wish I'd had something more specific to ask, but it's helped me tremendously with having those 9:30 presentations framed, because the One Trading Setup for Life became my foundation for everything. Like that video, since it's come out, I preach it and tell everyone, like, to find a narrative and a storytelling. Like I utilize that through my higher time frame analysis, but utilizing the first presentation AM and PM, the one after at 1:30 after and 9:30 after, have helped me, because I'm always looking for the 2022 model, like you were specifically saying, that engagement of liquidity that adds the rocket fuel for the next move, and framing it through, a breaker or a failure swing, being the two types of swing points. So once I have my first presentation and you emphasize that, and I could collectively put that with what I was already doing from the morning sessions, looking at the liquidity based time ranges, the session liquidity, what am I looking for the weekly protraction to do? Where are we at based on the monthly order block sequences that occur throughout the year? Like what is price doing in that flow? It just really gave me a more structured piece because my whole framework of looking at price was the 1 hour chart, like you said in that tweet. If you treat the 60-minute chart like the daily chart, a whole new world opens up to you. And I took that as a personal challenge to duplicate the fractal. And if I could do it thousands of times off of that understanding, then my long-term narrative would just expand and I could start seeing those higher fractals. So the first presentations that you gave helped me tremendously in not worrying so much of win, and being like a pit bull, like just ready to attack. That no, it's okay. I can utilize it here. If I miss it, or if it just taps in a run, or maybe it's a breakaway and it doesn't even come back to it, that's fine. Because where are we at in that session liquidity sequence to prepare for lunch and PM? Because I know the bus is gonna come, like you say, it's gonna give me that same fractal opportunity, and just wait for that offset to occur and take advantage of maybe the end of day macro, or maybe that 9:30 run on, say lunch engineered liquidity. So I'll use that PM session first presentation as, all right, there's the elephant in the pool. Now I can get in with some confidence in a low risk buy situation and take advantage of that distribution. So just those two pieces, I would just have to say, really helped me along with that One Trading Setup for Life for doing those intraday models and really having something that I can securely like fasten my seatbelt to and not have to spend hours and hours down the rabbit holes that I have, but that some people might chase that shiny object. So it just really helped me tremendously in that sense.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Since your affinity is for the first presented fair value gaps, based on what I was suggesting today as a mode of study, do you either have examples that you've seen this before, or do you have an interest in pursuing what I've outlined today, where if you have done the work and you think that the higher time frame bias is bullish, and you now have the understanding of when using the economic calendar and where you're in the range of that higher time frame run, whether it be premium to discount, there's rules I've given today that help you formulate the expectancy of which liquidity it's going to tag. Asia's lows, London's lows, or pre-market session between 7 o'clock and 9:30. Given that new perspective, it may not have been new for you, maybe you've already been utilizing it. It's never not the first time I've mentioned how to use the inversion fair value aspects of first presented fair value gap. But now I've given a codified roadmap of this is what I'm looking for, and if it does these things and runs out that liquidity and trades back above the first presented fair value gap, I already know before it even does this that it's going to be treated as an inversion fair value gap that's bullish. If it was like a SIBI, in other words, if that first presented fair value gap between 9:31 and 10 o'clock in the morning, if it forms on a down close basis, sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, and you're bullish, and it takes out the liquidity pool that you are expected to do based on the rules I've said today, isn't it more comforting knowing that you're not going to use that as a selling premium array, but you're going to wait for it to trade up through it, come back down, and prove to you that its lower half is not being engaged anymore. And then price runs from that point on to the higher side, whatever near-term buy side would be there. Can you see how that's advantageous?
Yes, sir, 100%. Because from that perspective and seeing it happen, knowing that can be the entry model in itself, I can start framing immediately from when I see lower time frame liquidity engaged, an inside bar accumulation occurs, the rejection block, and those 1 minute candles start printing, creating that narrative that I'm already in position to, I don't want to say assume, but in position to take advantage of that inversion opportunity. So it helps me not only be able to say, okay, this is a low risk buy opportunity or where I want to see price ticket and run, as you say, stay in the upper portion of that, not fill it, so to speak. But it allows me also to gauge my awareness of being able to read that candle by candle by candle situation, which is helping build my confidence as well.
I liked what you said in regards to having something to fasten yourself to, because that's actually a really good choice of words, because when you don't know what you're looking for, you just know there's gaps, there's fair value gaps, there's all these things that, there are buzzwords in our community and things that we use. But you're feeling like, which one am I going to use? Which one is the market going to use today? And by having a very specific one that you're looking for within a time based window, within 9:30 to 10 o'clock, we're waiting for that first one to form. But now when we add to it, it should act as one characteristic or another. So if it's bullish, your bias is at, and you know that the best runs occur after liquidity's been taken, it really is a good analogy. It's a really good way to fasten yourself to your chair. Don't run around the room acting crazy, trying to feel like you got to chase everything. You're waiting for a very specific event. And that in itself, until you start practicing with that perspective and using that, implementing it daily, you won't fully appreciate the level of grounding it does, where your mind's not racing. You're not worried about what you're going to miss. You know what you're looking for. You're not being distracted by other stuff. When that happens and then you engage and it delivers, that confidence goes through the roof. Your focus is limited to what you're only looking for and nothing else. And I thought that was actually a good choice of words by using the analogy of a seatbelt.
Yeah, that's someone who's risk adverse. It was really a journey of me venturing, and still is a journey of me venturing into that discomfort. So finding something, like you very well put, that you could lean on to say, okay, this is where I'm at, and let that uncertainty kind of dissipate, because it's the one thing besides risk that I can say, this is where I'm at, and this is my line in the sand. This is how I'm reading it.
Yeah.
And allow the difficult feelings that I'm going to have to manage, go through. But I've already done the hard work on the trade aspect, like all that's done. So now I could just sit here and manage my feelings, let the stop do its job, and, just continue to read price as it moves along.
The original question that I posed to the Kit and the listeners was, have you noticed an increasing number of opportunities, or maybe a measure of confidence, when the new week or new day opening gap is in play? Have you noticed an increase in your either visibility or actual opportunities that you've either participated in or at least tape read?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As an algorithmic signature, seeing that in itself kind of leans me towards the way. Let me rephrase that. As I'm reading price on Friday, I can kind of go in sometimes with an anticipatory idea that something's about to occur, and then to see a gap happen kind of leans me even deeper that, okay, I'm reading this correctly, and this is occurring, and then to utilize that later in the week and take advantage of, just like the first presentation, so to speak, in that fractal idea, has helped me tremendously. NDOGs, NWOGs, I mean, gaps in liquidity and efficiencies in liquidity is really the way that my mind and my eyes now have been trained through your teachings to see and read price. So yes, it has tremendously helped. Thank you.
Specifically on your Monday setups, as a follow-up retort. Focus.
Oh, sorry, that was towards me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Specifically towards the Monday setups, like I'm always looking back, like at what's previously been done. So it's looking at what weekly range am I looking to occur. Like I'll just kind of give a broad example here. Like this previous week, like I was looking at that weekly candle as a propulsion block, right? So I was looking for expansion higher based off of we'd come down into a monthly order block. So I was reading the sequence as we had a down candle. Then the next candle was a change in the state of delivery. Then the next candle we had was an inside bar that was Passover week. So that I'm looking for this candle to come and touch the inside bar and to propel higher. So using that idea and framework with how price has opened and Monday's session liquidity and so forth, just allows me to continue to read that fractal price as it takes liquidity under the imbalance and comes above it, to use it as an inversion effect, to take advantage of that. And just reading it step by step by step by day of the week allows me to read and gauge, okay, I'm in flow, I'm engaged, I'm in flow, I'm engaged, with the right delivery sequence. If that answered the question.
Beautifully. Michael, just as an added context, focuses a high time frame liquidity paradigm trader. He definitely focuses, I would say, for anyone listening, core content month 12, within your content of the higher time frame analysis, and really how to do a correct top down analysis in how you outline price. So for any listener who would like to understand even what Focus was talking about in response to Michael, I would suggest that you go back to Michael's YouTube page and you look at and you reference Core Content Month 12, episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. High time frame analysis, specifically. So, Michael, I just wanted to add that as a repository. We'll continue the conversation. We got a couple hands up. Want to follow back up with Alex, and then we'll hear from Trades Don't Lie, a charter student as well. We got some hands up here. Alex, we're following back up with you, buddy, with the original question.
All right, so I hope you can hear me, guys.
Yes, I believe we can. Michael, you can hear him, right? All right, good.
Yep, everything's good.
Okay, so I have, all right. I really what my question was, because I have my own model, right? I form my own model. I watch the window to 11. About a 90 minute cycle, right? Was you introduce your model. But I was just ask, how do I know exactly where the next liquidity, when it's going to take the liquidity, right? For example, I'm going to be bearish or bullish. Let's say I'm going to be bearish, right? How am I going to know if that exact high, maybe
Are you referencing, Alex? Are you referencing the 7:30 to 9 o'clock 90-minute range? What range are you referencing that you're cycling? Is that coming from the open price? Are you referencing the 9:30 to 11 o'clock price referenced earlier?
Yeah, because he's model Venom, right? And I liked how he watched the 90. I think the 9 window, right? It was like 8 o'clock to 9:30, if I'm not wrong. To do it, and I saw that he used that entry, right? And I tried that to put that using on my model, but sometimes I get confused because
Well, today he's referencing specifically. Today, Alex, he's referencing specifically how to map liquidity pools utilizing that 7:30 to 9 o'clock range. And when the open drive comes and the 10 o'clock price hits, you're going to be looking for between that 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock price. So that now new 90-minute range. So you have this look back range of a liquidity pool where you're looking for intermediate term highs or short term highs or lows that are being left as a stop within the market mechanics. And as fractal delivery is occurring within these time-based ranges and these specific blocks that he's outlining, you in turn are to look for and utilize the inefficiency in the liquidity pool as direction and bias towards the direction of your trade plan.
Yeah, exactly. And I entry for my inversion, right? So my entries I use inversion gaps to entry when I have a sweep of liquidity. And if I wanna really want to get really, let's say, to be confident on the trade, I will maybe have a breaker on it. So it's gonna be kind of like a unicorn entry, but I use standard deviation to know exactly where the market is gonna go. So I like because it's a watch that 9:50 to 10:10, but I like to hold more to 12 o'clock, and it looks like the algorithm is delivering to the low of the day, or sometimes takes the previous day low. If I'm bearish, for example. Vice versa.
Okay, so Michael, what Alex is saying that his model is built around, and I know this from experience, the 950 to 1010 macro, and he's looking for liquidity pools, and you could say a silver bullet, an inversion. His model, I think, involves a lot the inversion fair value gap, and he's looking for a range to form, and he's looking to find a liquidity pool in the 950 to 1010 macro. Is that correct, Alex?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. So Michael, I just wanted to help convey the message to you just so you could understand what he's trying to talk about.
Okay. But was he just stating that his appreciation for it, or was there a specific question?
Did you have a specific question for it? Because as he's outlined today, he's giving you a look back range of a liquidity pool that you're referencing.
Sometimes if that inversion gap is not forming, or if that's forming, right, and the market, I don't know, somehow stops me out, what should I do? I mean, what should I do? Because it maybe done something else or go against me, right? And then maybe I'm not gonna enter the trade. It's gonna go in my direction. What should I wait for? Should I wait for the market to take another liquidity, or should I do something else? Because sometimes I get caught into it on these setups.
I think what you're asking for, I actually answered, and if I was to answer you right here, I would basically say what I already said in the space and what I've opened up with exchanging with Kit here about knowing which days, based on the economic calendar, what pool of liquidity is going to tag into. If you're bullish, let me make it very plain and simple for you. Every single day that you walk into the marketplace that you're expecting higher prices, if you have a SIBI as your first presented fair value gap, it should be a bullish inversion fair value gap. That's it. That's your mindset. Is that easy and straightforward?
Yeah,
100%.
exactly. I use
So if you remove all the ambiguity of which liquidity it's going to go to, because think about it, if it goes to just the pre-market session, 7 o'clock to 9:30 liquidity, which is essentially everyday process, unless it's a trending day right out the gate, then there's nothing you can do about then. Or you're going to use the London lows, or it's going to go all the way back down to a full coast-to-coast run to Asia's low. That doesn't change the fact that it's going to eventually go above the first presented fair value gap. So you're going to discover that it's not likely to do what I'm about to say here, unless there's a 10 o'clock news driver, maybe a 9:45 news driver. It will go down when it's bullish. It'll drop lower, create a SIBI as your first presented fair value gap. That way, you already know now what you're waiting for. You don't care how low it goes. Who cares? Remove the task of trying to pick the low or entering at the low. That will come over time. That's the graduated expectation of you using this information beyond the scope of what I'm showing you here. Just giving you a foundation going in saying, okay, I'm bullish. I want the first presented fair value gap to be a SIBI. That's how I go into the day every day. I'm looking for that. Now, if it goes in and presents itself as a BISI, no problem. Then I'm going to wait for it to do what? Treat it just like an inversion fair value gap, where I will want to see it trade back above it, then come back down and respect the lower half and not use that lower half. And then what is it doing? It's doing the same function as a bullish inversion fair value gap that I would be demanding from a SIBI that's first presented fair value gap. You don't worry about what liquidity it's going to go to until it does it. That's the first step as a trader learning under me, is you don't need to know what liquidity it's going to run for to try to enter under it like a turtle soup. You didn't mention turtle soup one time that I could hear. You mentioned first presented fair value gap. And the easiest ground entry technique using them is simply let the market take whatever liquidity it wants. Then once it trades above it, trade it accordingly. You don't need to know what liquidity, in fact, you're not going to know as a new trader. And that was the whole basis of my presentation today, is I'm giving you rule-based ideas so that way you can start gaining a logical accumulation of this is what it has done more times than not. So that way you can say, okay, I know that the statistical probability of this going to that liquidity here on this day, given all the factors I've mentioned today, is so freaking high that I know that I'm patiently waiting for that to be taken. And I don't need to buy below the low or sell above that high for the liquidity purposes. That's turtle soup. It takes a lot of conviction to enter above or below old lows when you're trading with a bias. I don't care how long you've been doing it. It's just, you have to know what it is that you're doing, because it's a chasm beyond that high that you traded into going short, or below an old low when you're trying to go long. You don't know for certain how long it's going to go lower. You don't know that. But my first presented fair value gap, and as you mentioned, I was literally mouthing it when you said it. If you see a breaker there, that's like a no-brainer inversion fair value gap inside of the breaker. That's going to be before first presented fair value gap. So you have a way of testing the water with going in with one contract. See if you can get any measurement out of that. And if it starts running in your favor, your stop's going to be tight. You're going to take a loss probably. Not all the time, but you will. But then if you take a loss there, let it run up to your first presented fair value gap where it should perform as a bullish inversion fair value gap. Then enter again there. So many times that alone will recoup the loss that you tested the waters with, or give you, if it's been favorable, give you a place to do a pyramiding opportunity where you can add another portion to the trade and then reach for the obvious buy side liquidity for a first presented partial. Take that profit and let that other one run for the daily range to see whatever you can get out of it. So that's what I would suggest to you, and be welcome to the idea that you're going to be losing sometimes, okay? Because it's real hard to ignore that factor, because it's going to hit everybody. It hits me. I mean, if I did stupid things, I would take losses just like anybody else. But I'm very, very specific about what it is I'm looking for, because I'm rule based, and that would be my only, based on what you presented here. And we got to get to somebody else, because I don't want to be, too much on one person. I don't want to be here all day either. But I think this is sufficient enough. I think. And if it's not, you can obviously send me a post and I can reply to it.
This is absolutely fantastic. I think anybody and everybody's going to go back and absolutely love everything about this. So, yeah, we're going over some very, very detailed and precise algorithmic principles within the content that you've conveyed to people who are very, very passionate and have an extreme sense of urgency in implying and applying these concepts to the charts. So that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. That's why we love doing what we do. And I'd like to hear from maybe one or two other people, and we're going to try and keep it brief and concise, and we're going to respect Michael and his time, and we're going to wrap things up. So I think that's fair to the man. If that's okay, Michael, we'll take one or two more questions, and then
I'll do three more.
Okay, sounds great. We're gonna go Trades Don't Lie. I'm gonna go with him first, and I got Sam coming up, and we'll pick the third one. But Trades Don't Lie, jump in here, brother. I know he's an ICT charter.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, brother.
All right, Michael, you can hear me? I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you. Thank you very much. I just actually got done drinking like a very large espresso, so if my voice seems jittery, it's
Good. Hopped up,
Yeah, man, I'm,
caffeinated
ready to
charters
go.
are great.
So I am in alumni user group 01, so I am a charter member. I've been with you since 2019. And I just want to give you thanks, and I appreciate you for everything you've taught me. You've changed my life. So thank you very much. I do want to continue the conversation on first percent of your value gaps, because I did just codify a indicator that I can actually pull data from the database and take every single 1 minute candle going back as far as I can, however many days. It can go back as far as 500 days if I would like, to see the first percent of fair value gap in any time filter that I choose. And I have 5 different filters, or I can add more, take away. It doesn't really matter. I could add midnight if I wanted to. You could look at the first one from midnight or 9:30, but I actually also implemented filters that will allow me to see the first weekly percent of fair value gap and monthly. And then the other addition to this indicator is, and I believe personally, this is just my observation through my own study, I enabled the ability to see not just the first presented fair value gap, but also if the first presented fair value gap is a BISI, then it will also show me the first SIBI that is created in the session as well. Kind of like another layer to it, another array to look for.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted your thoughts on that and my study and the indicator, and what you think about using previous days, how far back we should look, using the weeklies and the monthlies, and if I should be using the 1 minute data, or if you recommend using higher time frame data for these arrays.
Well, first, I would love to see what your initial findings show. And as far as it relates to how far you look back, I kind of want to keep it germane to the IPTA data ranges, which is the 20, 40, 60. There's going to be lots of instances, if you went through broker statements, you would see that I was using things that's beyond 60 days. But they require other things and experience. Not that it's super secret, it just means that I'm more comfortable using them. So while I don't think they go stale, but the easiest ones, the most salient ones to present market conditions, are going to be within the scope of 60 days. The most sensitive ones are going to be within the last 20 days. And if you're working with the weekly range objectives by determining bias, just stick with whatever the first Monday, first percent of fair value gap is, and then use that throughout the week, and then every individual one for that pertinent week.
Okay.
So don't try to. I mean, I understand it as a person that is really interested in facts and figures and stuff, and I love that. You know, I'm a numbers geek about it. Don't don't drown it out and remove the purity that the opportunity of you using a tool like this will yield to you, because you can drown it with all kinds of stuff, and if you torture the data enough, it's going to submit to anything. So if you use the simplest rules of saying, okay, what's the pertinent value of first presented value of the week, and then every individual day by day throughout the week itself that you're on, and then go back 20 days. Do the majority of your initial research with just the last 20 days look back. I'm interested in seeing what your figures reflect
Yeah,
in
I
that.
will definitely look through that.
I have a quick follow-up question to that. The term or idea of mitigation, Michael, as in how often Price has printed and or revisited a given array. Do you add context to this idea or philosophy of whether a price is kind of being opened and left open versus being mitigated or unmitigated? Does that make sense?
I don't know really what you're aiming at there, because at first I thought, it's okay, well, this is going to be easy to answer. Then it's like, because what you're saying is essentially what I've taught in regards to breakaway gaps, where I want to see certain things stay open. So in fact, I do spend time, I've taught and spent lecture time
Yes.
doing it, where I want to see certain specific fair value gaps left open.
But okay,
For instance, let's go
sorry, I
back.
didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Let's go back to Alex's portion when he was talking about how he liked breakers. And I told you that if there's a fair value gap in that leg of the breaker when it reaches down for that liquidity, that it can be used if it's a bullish scenario and it's a bullish breaker. You don't need to wait for it to go above the breaker high and then come back into it. So I can use that first gap. It's a fair value gap. If it's a SIBI inside that leg that gets the liquidity, once it trades above that, I'll test the waters right there and go with one contract. If I'm really, really bullish, I'll just go in and just start building my position there. 6 contracts, 4 contracts, 2 contracts, 1 contract. Well, if I see it go above that SIBI and it's a breaker, and it runs and doesn't even come back to it at all and goes right to the breaker, what do you think my mindset would be about that fair value gap? Do you think I would want to see it filled in or being left open?
A breakaway.
Exactly. So that's one way of using liquidity, the run on liquidity, and then anticipating the potential for that fair value gap in the leg that makes that bullish breaker being used as an inversion fair value gap. But if it fails to present that at all, I definitely want to see it left open now. So hopefully I kind of,
Yes,
I hope it's
100%,
germane to what your
100%.
question was.
That's kind of where I was going with where and how price returns to specific arrays and kind of mitigates them versus leaving other ones open, and that sensitivity there. So you explained that perfectly. Thank you. That was exactly the question.
Yeah, the way that my mind worked with when you asked the mitigation question was thinking of, the inverse, the things that are left open, right? And my mind immediately went to regular trading hours gaps and how we track them, and it leaves an open part and it didn't fill the gap all the way, and then how we can use that later in time as a draw on liquidity, being like quote unquote, we call it naked, leaving it open, like, we need to put some clothes on. That is the joke that we have. But yeah,
that again, I'm kind of asking. This is kind of a concept that I built on from your teachings. So I'm asking more personally and inquiring as far as this idea of a array forming versus it being priced back to or not, and or it being opened and or left for future strategic liquidity runs or inefficiencies for latter parts of latter subsequent cycles or time-based ranges even.
but yeah, I appreciate you. I just wanted to ask questions about the first presented fair value gap indicator, and I will try to not use 100 days worth of data, because it does get a little messy and a little noisy, and we like to keep our charts clean. And I appreciate you saying, if you twist the data so much, it's going to conform, right? So even though I might be seeing turning points, and body closures exactly on arrays from very far out, it might just be coincidence, or I might just be torturing the data a little. Um,
I would go so far as to say it's
yeah,
coincidence, but it is going to be something that it's going to be hard to fashion a rhyme or reason how and why you would use that one at any given time. That's kind of like the only thing that I'm agreeing with by saying beyond 60 days, there's things that we have never addressed in the teachings that I've presented that would ever allow for you to have a quote unquote model to employ for that given
yeah,
circumstance. You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? So while I will use an old one like that when it fits what I'm looking for, a listener or a student of mine, I would not expect them to have any affinity for something past 60 days because there's no necessity for it. I mean, you have a universe that's rich with all the opportunities that anyone would ever want just in the last 20 days, let alone go into the full spectrum of 60 days look back. So just kind of like keep that in mind because then it'll be a lot more rewarding for you because it'll fit everything I've already taught and it'll dovetail nicely. I have data what I've done with very similar things. There's a lot of things I have already automated. Like I don't need to be in front of the charts and do these things. I can just turn it on and it just does it. So I'm interested to see if your data is germane to what it is I've seen in my own
Awesome.
work.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to gather more data for sure. Yeah, and then the only other question, and then I'll let someone else go, is it's definitely, I would think that it's worth identifying not just the first BISI, but also the first SIBI. I mean, to me, it's just so beautiful to codify and see both
Mm-hmm.
of those arrays, because logically, as a charter student, that's how I would perceive you seeing it. There's,
Well, I'll come out and say, I'll tell you, you are talking about a PD array that I've never released, but it's there's something to it. When you see the very first percent fair value gap, whatever it is, whatever the contrary is to that, the very first formation of that, it's useful
Thank
information.
you,
I'll just
sir.
go
I
there.
appreciate you. And yeah, I'm gonna hit the study books. And Kit, I'm gonna let someone else take over. Thank you guys very much.
It wouldn't be Trader Roundup if it were not a little extra saucy, Michael. Okay, so it definitely seems a little saucy in the room. Okay, so yeah, we love it. We love it. We love it. We heard from Trades Don't Lie. My boy Pippi. I'd be remiss not to bring him up. We've got one more speaker, and Sam. It'll go Sam then Pippi is how we'll probably finish the day off. I got Neil here too. Much love, much respect. We are gonna limit our speakers. We are wrapping up. We've got two more of three per the request of Michael. Sam, you want to jump in here? You
Yeah,
were legitimately up next, I
yeah,
think.
thank you, man. Because really, I don't get a chance to speak to ICT often, and when I do, I have to sift through my mind just to figure out what question to ask him in the first place. Because he explains so much every day for us. And I literally, I'm a student from 2016. I started off in
Okay.
London a very, very long time ago, and we found your account on Baby Pips, and like everyone started talking about order blocks. Everyone in London started talking about order blocks in 2016 when ICT came out on Baby Pips. It was the most amazing thing, and from there we started growing as a community. And I still have his whole 2016 mentorship logged in Google Drive. It's still there. So I have his old stuff. So like when I look at his new stuff, all I look at is refinement of what he's been saying for years. You know, it's just
Yes.
refinement.
Do
So
you, do you have anything
wanna
salient?
when I ask him, what I wanna really ask him is, um, as a student that's been observing the market since that time, I noticed how like I started off in forex, and now I really just trade gold. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about money that much anyway. So, uh, what
Can I ask your frequency of trade when you're trading gold?
I'm a part-time trader. Like I'll take like a $500 and max out the account with one trade. If it goes through, it goes through. And with your method, it's so accurate. I don't falter.
No,
I
what
don't
I'm,
falter
if you
with
don't,
with the 500 being lost. I've got like my accounts that are I'm not trading. I'm into real estate in Africa. That's my main business with my mother. But
if I may, my question is, what is the level of frequency? How often do you try to assume a trade or engage gold?
like I said, okay, I was gonna go into that. I'm ADHD autistic,
I'm sorry.
yes.
I'm
So
sorry.
my personality doesn't allow me to be in the markets as frequent as everyone else. The way I saw you max out like you did 5,000 to I think it was $5,000 to 3 million in a space of,
Hmm.
I think it was like, it was so short a time that we actually got into an argument.
Couple
It
months.
was once upon a time, and we actually got into an argument online, and I said it's impossible that you did it because for my personality, I get too excited. I don't know how to focus and be that accurate with my trading because I know the information. It's just like my mind jumbles up when I saw you do it, and I guess for me that personality I can't achieve that. And like I love what you said when you first started out as a teacher. You said be a sniper, cherry pick,
Hmm.
find that one thing in the week that matches your personality and you take it. That's what in my mind I became a sniper that day. I don't want to take
Hmm.
every trade. I can literally wait the whole month and catch one sweet one sweet tray that's set up that just it keeps you eating with your bills and everything is paid for with that one trade. That's how I approach it now. I don't look in the markets and I don't want to be there every single time because my personality doesn't allow me to. I get too excited. My edge runs hot and I think I'm invincible. I hate that about myself. You know, as a trader, I absolutely hate the fact that I get too excited about the money that I'm making and I start imagining what I can do with the money. So I limit myself. I tell myself, I just want to pay bills. You know, I don't want to be that guy that makes 3 million in a month and says, fuck it, let's go to Vegas. You know, because you can't fucking do that. You can make that 3 million and fucking go to Vegas and have a fear and self-loathing for the next 3 months. I have that weird personality. I love adventure. You know, I see lions a lot. I see hyenas a lot. Like the wilderness for me is better because it's quieter. But you see, with money, you're tempted to do the stupid things with money. And for me, it's all about the stupid things you do in between those good trades. And for me, it's difficult because I come from a neighborhood, you know, where people flashed money and were drug dealing. I come from a bad neighborhood.
Hmm.
You know, I was in
Hmm.
London. You had two choices: listen to ICT or sell crack. So
That's a choice, isn't it?
you've got two choices in London. I mean, London is a financial capital. You have two choices when you go into school. You either become a tradesman, you do electricity or whatever, like electrician or whatever, or you trade stocks, or you struggle. You have no choice in that area. So I come from that. You know, I was hungry when I saw ICT in 2016. I was like, this is it. And one thing I want to ask him when I really look into his work, when he says he's not going to teach you anything, he can't, because what he's doing is refinement, and refinement is literally a lifelong task. It's like it's like chess. Chess started off so simple. It made Paul Morphy look like a genius, but now we have Magnus. You understand? And we have computers alongside Magnus. So like chess is even to a point where it's nearly solved. It's getting boring now. I mean, you find the
Okay,
moves
you're
better.
losing me, buddy.
But like it's one of them ones now where you have to understand something. Where obviously I'm ADHD autistic, so like when I talk, I
No, I
rant and
got
I
you. I'm
go
just trying
over.
to reel you back
So
in here. We
yeah,
got some folks here. I'm just
yeah.
trying to reel
What I
you
want to
back
ask
in.
what I want to ask is where in terms of refinement, like we went from looking at just the high of the week, low of the week is going on Tuesday, because I remember the old stuff. In terms of refinement, now we're looking at new weekly open. What is next? Is there anything next? Is there anything? Because what I noticed is from 2020 to 2024, the markets have changed in the sense that you can't trade Euro USD the same way you used to back in 2016 to 2020. The algo, you say the algo doesn't change, but it kind of does. It in a way that like you can't trade Euro USD the way you used to. It used to be my baby. I could trade it any day, but
No,
now it's like
that's not the algo trading. I mean, that's not the algos changing. It's the state of delivery, and from a macro perspective, that's changed for a period of time.
yeah.
It's the state of volatility. Think about what's happened, you know, in well,
Thank you,
the
thank you,
last
thank you. Let
five
me let me
years.
let me get off now. Let me get off.
The I mean, we went through COVID. They shut down the entire world. They disrupted global commerce. They they wrecked the minds and peace of mind of nearly everyone that was believing all that horse shit. So we are still getting through all of the damage that was done psychologically to a lot of people. And a lot of big firms don't exist anymore. A lot of brokerage firms were harmed in that. Traders were harmed in that. So it's not that they changed the algorithm. They disrupted. This was kind of like what I was warning. In 2016, I used to do Twitter Spaces, and I talked about how they were going to use Trump. They were going to let him in, and he was going to be the fall guy. They're going to let him build this collection of people that swore an allegiance to this man who has no experience doing what he's doing, but he's a businessman. And since the American continent and country is a corporation, and everyone that's born and given a social security number is a slave to that corporation, they are forced to work and give their money and proceeds to this corporation, or they have the experience of losing their freedom, okay, or be penalized. This whole thing from 2016's conversation has been an unfolding of everything I've outlined. And we're in the latter stages of that. They have something that works. This algorithm is absolutely like mind control to speculators. They're not aware of it. The people that kick and scream and say there is no algorithm, but they're forced to look at the data that we present and saying, here's the continuity of what I'm saying is going to happen in the marketplace. It's not anchored to anything else. So when someone says, and like yourself say, and I mean this with all due respect, I just want to correct you where there is no changing of this algorithm. They have worked so hard to place it in every instrument, and the amount of money that they control. It's not about them always making money with it. It's not what it is. It's the control of wealth. It's the control and disbursement of the transition from wealth to wealth. Who gets it right now? Who's not allowed to have it right now? Who's being punished? There's a whole lot of things that's going on behind the scenes that I'm not going to delve into because, number one, we would never have the time to. I'm just not going to do it. Let's put it that way, because I'm already touching on things I said I wouldn't talk about anymore. But we're seeing a time in history where they created this boogeyman. COVID is this invisible killer that only will kill you if you stand up in a restaurant. But as long as you're wearing your mask, if you're standing up, or take your mask off below like a poker room that's full of smoke, you walk through it, the upper half of the room is full of smoke. But if you get down real low, you're afraid. You won't have to be afraid of breathing any smoke. They created this illusion of this monster that's going to get you, and people are still afraid of it. They're driving around with their mask on and alone in their cars. So there's been damage that's been done. It was an IQ test. It was a beta test. The real thing is coming. The real thing is going to come. And at that time, it's going to feel like they changed their algorithm, but they're just going to go to another level, a more intense version of what we just saw, where the market will absolutely be untradeable for a short period of time. It's meant for wealth distribution. It's going to be taken away from 401k holders. It's going to take away all that wealth that's there. Even your baby Bitcoin is going to feel this because there's so much money there to plunder.
That's making me feel sick.
Well, you shouldn't feel sick. You shouldn't feel sick because, number one, the average person doesn't see it coming. And when it happens, they're going to be very anxious. They're going to be very scared. They're going to feel like this is the end of the world, and I'm never going to be able to find a way out of this. And for some, that's probably going to be true. But since I'm trying to tell you in advance that these are the types of things that we're going to see, do you not see Trump being set up as a fall guy? Can you see that? Like, he's doing all these things, but we haven't seen any of the lists.
Let's not even get political.
We haven't really.
Let's not do that.
No. I want to tap into this for a second because we turned that leaf over. So let me just talk a little bit about it.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
It's okay. I'm going to talk about headlines. I'm not talking about anything new and fresh. The fact that all these things were promised, but we're not really seeing it. We're seeing a little bit of people get deported, but really we're not seeing any of that stuff. We're seeing reasons for people to be in the streets this summer going at each other's throats. That's what we're seeing. All this is theater. So when you see the reverberations from all these things, and it translates into market volatility, when it becomes unsafe to go out there and go into stores and shop, and commerce starts to dip because of that, they're going to come up with all these narratives that saying this is why it's happening, and this is why it's going to happen. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And then people are going to be fearful in trading And then they're going to start creating these gaps in liquidity. That gap in liquidity, nobody's going to not want to get out of their stuff.
That's insane.
They're going to want to
That's
sell.
insane. That's insane.
But there's going to be so much of a disparity between where they allow price to be at right now and how far they drop it down because they want to lock in a premium. They want to lock in a premium to what's available to be plundered. And that's going to be untradeable. You're not going to be able to trade that portion of it. So because I'm telling you in advance, now 9 years ago, it takes a long time for these macro events to take place. As I said back then, I said, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but you got to prepare yourself for it. And here we're at his swan song. He's in his second term, and he went in promising a lot of stuff, and he's not delivering on very much. And I'm telling you that we're going to see another example of extreme volatility in the marketplace. And it will be jarring. It will be unsettling. But let's be fair. Okay, you said that you're trying to work with $500 and you're trading gold. Gold, to me, is an event-driven market. I don't think it should be traded every single day. Personally, it doesn't fit my personality. And that's why I was interested in asking you, what was your frequency of trade? How often do you take a trade in it? And my next question would have been, and we don't have to answer it, but you can send it to me in a post, like what is the model that you trade when you're trading gold? Because I'm always interested in see how my students use it for that particular market. But gold's going to be...
No, Michael, I have someone, to your point, who is extremely successful, who has a very, very good model for your specific point, your question. I would like to bring him in, and I would like him to convey your exact point right now of seeing a student apply your concepts to gold and to an Asian range, if you don't mind, to build on your point as we're wrapping things up. So...
Can I finish what I was saying about because I want to make sure that the listeners understand that there's no changing of an algorithm. They have worked very, very hard to make this as hands-off as possible. And they only intervene when it's advantageous for them on the very short term. So nothing has changed. Everything I'm expecting to see in price, and I'm showing it by coming out and telling you exactly what's going to happen, telling you that it's going to use this very particular fair value. I mean, I did it last week.
I'm sorry for saying it's changed. I would rather call it evolution. Rather than change, I will call it evolution. And I wanted to know the underlying factors for that evolution, and you've outlined them now, so thank you very much.
Evolution still change, and I don't believe in evolution. Yeah. So the point is that nothing has changed. There's been periods of disruption in the past. It's just been a larger magnitude of it just recently, but there's always been this scheduled disruption, and it's always like 100 years. It always happens. We've had look back over the history.
Completely understood. I understand now.
But understand, I'm not trying to correct you for the sake of correcting you and punish you. I'm not punishing you. I want to make sure that the other listeners, because so many times I get this emailed to me all the time. Are you afraid that you're going to become the new retail logic and they're going to change your algorithm? No, because to say that is somehow they're going to find a way to prevent people from placing a buy stop above old highs. What's the chances of that happening? How can they prevent anyone from keeping an interest in placing a buy stop above a single high or relative equal highs? There's nothing they can do to stop people from having the impulse, because that's what people believe is safe when they go short. Same thing said when you look at an old low or relative equal lows. How are they going to stop or discourage the interest of placing? Because we do it now. We've been doing it for years publicly, attacking relative equal lows. You would think people would catch on and stop putting stop losses below and above those relative equal highs, but they still do it. Why? Because they're following tainted water. The logic behind all that stuff is permeated in this industry through books, through educators that regurgitate all that stuff. And as long as those things remain true, liquidity is an unchangeable thing. It's a factor that will not be changed. And its only other asset to why price goes up and down is the measurement of time. So you're going to change the time? Are times going to change? Are they going to change the sessions? When do people wake up and trade in London? You say you're in London, right? Are they going to move the sun and stars and change everything around where you're going to wake up at a different time? No, of course not.
And
so
see,
these things are constants.
Because I've seen this happen in price now, and I've seen how it's happening in Euro USD and cable and the disruption. I see it happening. I see the disruption, and I wanted to ask how the disruption can progress further, and what what we can expect. But like what you said is there's no change. So what we should do is just expect the natural order of the edge playing out. So at the end of the day, I did waste a lot of people's time. Sorry.
No, you didn't waste anybody's time. This is actually a wonderful thing to be clarifying because there's more people listening to it, and the recordings later on will be reaching other people. What you're seeing is a disruption to global trade and commerce, and that's directly affecting the currency markets. Not one currency over another, but them globally. There is an active pursuit to come together with one currency, and we're seeing the infancy of that starting to take place. And there's going to be a lot of people kicking and screaming. Certain countries are going to say, "I'm not interested in that," but they're going to slowly work towards doing that. Not every country is going to have the same currency, but there's going to be this big global movement to normalize global trade with one currency. Now, there's going to be smaller countries that deal with, individuals that will accept payment for this and that, but you're seeing it. You're seeing this. The BRICS nation is putting a big spotlight on that. They're trying to do away with the dollar. And in the United States, there's two factions that are fighting for control to keep the dollar, but they want to hurt it in the short term. So all these things are what's behind the scenes that's causing this prolonged disruption, which is the reason why Forex is, in my opinion, unfavorable at the moment and where equities are favorable. There will be a time where currencies become a little bit more lucrative, but it's going to be a short period of time. And then it's going to go into a very exaggerated, extreme level of untradeability. When you start seeing countries say, well, think about it. The Deutschmark. Okay, the Deutschmark used to be a currency I used to trade back in the 90s. You can't do that anymore. It's not available to you to trade. Now, there's people using them still, but they're not actively traded. So you have these things that are being sorted out for all these currencies out there. And look at the wrestling match that China and Russia are putting up against the US. Do you think that's going to just stop because someone gets in office? No. They're slowly working out who's going to be in control. It's like, you're in London, you have your Conservative Party and you have your Liberal Party. Well, it's kind of like the same thing happening in the financial struggle to who's going to be controlling of all this. That's exactly what's going on right now. And they're butting heads with one another. And it's in other countries, and they're forming factions together that undermine one country's currency versus another currency. And it's an ugly fight right now. It's dirty, which is the reason why I said I'm taking a step back, because I'm not willing to be in a move like when they depegged the euro and Swissy. I'm not interested in that. And that's what we're in. We're in that type of climate. I don't see them having that level of aggression in equities yet. So I'm going to trade in equities. I'm going to go back to where I started and cut my teeth as a trader.
That's true.
Commodities are going to be a safer. Overall, commodities like your grain markets. I think the grain market's going to be wild this year, going into the next year.
True.
I think in 2 years, the grain
Commodities,
market's
yeah.
going to be huge, way beyond what we've seen them through COVID. We had a little bit of a run up in them. It's great, but we're not done. Like, that's not done. We haven't even really got to the heart of what's really going on. And what we're seeing now, where China is saying, you know what, I'm not shipping anything over there to the U.S. And they're going to try to starve us with things and try to break Trump. China is willing to break their own country and its own citizens. Okay, you think they're going to be, helpful to us when they have something to be on the line? Their image, they're being punked by the United States president. You're going to do this or else. Well, China's going to be like, look, you haven't seen how we treat our own kids, and you think we're going to be nicer to you? We're already being punished. So why should we not just pull out all the stops and say, you're going to come to the table on our terms? So you're a consuming nation. You're not a producing nation. So let's see who deals with it longer than the other. Because they can deal with Russia. They can deal with all the other BRICS nations and still get by. Where are we going to get our junk from? Where are we going to get our pharmaceuticals from? See, all those things are huge, paramount issues that have a direct relationship to what? Currencies and global trade. All that's going to be affected. And Forex is going to have this period of, wow, wake up time, and it's going to create this strength, this leader of one or two currencies. And that huge imbalance is going to cause the next wave of interest in Forex. And you're going to have that little sympathy play with all the other smaller currencies. But one or two of them is going to lead. And it might be something that's directly related to China or Russia. And it may not be their individual currencies. But what country warms up to them best through global trade, and then they start usurping the control and interest that other currencies have right now. If you go back and look at how I taught the currency market, you're always looking for the relative strength leader when you're bullish, and you're always looking for the weakest trade or weakest currency when you're trying to go short. So you're watching that, and because we had global disruption with COVID, it's not going to be like a 1 week event. It's not going to be a couple months. It's a long. I mean, we've done serious damage globally, and we're slowly starting to come to realize just how bad that was. And it's still being worked out, but it's also the opportunity for someone or some country to come out there and just say, you know what, we're going to now be the global reserve currency because the dollar just ain't it anymore. And that's an ugly fight. So it's not that there's an algorithm change. It's not the algorithm is evolving. It's just there's a lot of manual intervention, and that's not doing anything except for a very short term. And in terms of where we've been in COVID, 2020 stuff to now, it feels like a lifetime because it's stressful because we make our money from doing these things. We trade and we assume risk, and risk has been elevated for years since COVID. But we've normalized that. And it feels like something's changed. No, the only thing that's changed is that you have adapted to this, but you're getting worn out by it. You're wanting to see it end and to move back to a little bit more easier time of trading. And no one can time that. No one can say it's going to happen right here, right now. And you have to just do what the market's going to give you. Work with what cards you're dealt. And knowing that these things won't last in perpetuity, there's going to be an end to it. But just know at the end of it, there's a bigger wave coming. We have not left that portion of the conversation. That's still in the offing. It's looming. And that's not a fear mongering. That's not any kind of fear porn. It's just the realities, folks. And if you prepare yourself mentally for this thing to happen like this, you're not going to be surprised by it. And you can take a step back from risk, where everybody else will be like, wow, this is the time to trade. No, it won't be. Because you're going to get crushed. The next big one, the big event, is going to be untradeable. And if you're caught offside, it's going to undo you. And if you think that you can chase it and do other things with it, like it's not going to pan out like you think it is. It's meant to completely melt down everything. Everything's going to drop. Gold is going to drop. Everything. But the only thing that's going to go up is real commodities, because that's the grocery store of the world. Those things are going to go through the roof because people need to eat. People need supplies. They need the energies to run whatever it is they're providing for their community, their service, their electric, the heating, the services. All these people need to live. And there's no reason to be trading NASDAQ futures except for greed. There's no reason to trade Eurodollar except for greed. That's assigned to that. It's a greed. Commodities, food, and real staples that make the world go round, they are always going to have a value. And when things are hard to get, where do you think the value is going to go? Exceedingly high. There's no limit to where they're going to go. And this stuff that's going on in Iran, India, and Pakistan, all of these little side quests and little proxy wars that are happening, they're going to all of a sudden jump into your headlines one day, and it's all going to be like, this is the side I'm on, this is the side I'm on. And then shit's going to hit the fan. Energy's going to go through the roof, orbit, like past moon, like we're in another solar system. Metals are going to go through the roof because everybody's going to be like, I need to be in something tangible. Your Bitcoin bullshit, all that crypto stuff, they're going to melt down, crazy meltdown. Because you can't go to the grocery store and say, here, let me give you this Bitcoin on a wallet I can't access because the grid's down. You're shit out of luck. You're shit out of luck. The pawn stores and all these metal dealers, they're not going to buy or sell none of it when it's going on. You don't realize that this is what we're in that stage of this. And yes, it sounds scary, but if you understand what I'm saying is these are periods when you don't want to increase risk and you want to take a step back. You want to really be a risk averse person because that's what's coming. And if you haven't paid attention to what I said in 2016 and everything I've said has lined up, boom, 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 you're about to see the real act. You're about to see that stuff. And if you're not careful, you can look at this and say, oh, it's time to be John Wayne. I'm going to cowboy you up and take on more risk and trade aggressively and do maximum leverage and do more harm to yourself and versus preserve what you have. Be diligent about not risking anything then. I don't know how long it'll be. I don't know when it's going to start, but I'm preparing you to be expecting something like that. And if you can't look around the geopolitical scene and see how all this stuff is trying to make sure you forget what they lied to us about in 2020, what they've done to us, not just in America, everywhere. They've put things in people's bodies that should have never been put there. And for the people that were smart enough to say, I ain't having that shit go inside me, believe me, there ain't nobody that did not take that shot that's saying, I wish I would have done that now. But there's a whole lot of people. I've lost friends and family that are no longer here because their brain hemorrhaged, their heart expanded, and blew out just like that 2 days after taking that garbage. And people know it. There's a lot of people that know about this stuff, and they're pissed off. And so how do you make it go away? Let's create a world war. Let's create a mental breakdown with everybody seeing everything go to shit. That's what you're seeing. That's not an algorithm changing. That's manipulation. They're changing the storyline and the headline so that way they keep you constantly barking up the wrong tree and not remembering what they just did to us. That's what's really going on. That's the real story. That's the real narrative. And how long it takes for them to do that until people stop talking about it, because still people, I'm doing it now. I'm talking about it. You know, I lost friends and family. I watched them go to the grave. They're gone. Healthy people, fit as a fiddle. All of a sudden, brain hemorrhage, boom, heart, boom, gone. And we weren't allowed to go see them laid out. People have real reason to be pissed the fuck off. And they are. And they're sitting here knowing that they have to get people on board with certain ideas. So they have to create heroes like Trump. Let me say something. You're not making your way into the White House unless you're part of that club. And that's why I said in 2016, I'm interested to see what this guy does, because he's not a politician, but he's always been a Democrat. He's always been a Democrat. And he still is a Democrat. He's just wearing a mask, just like the WWF wrestling. He's playing his role as now bad John Cena. He was good John Cena in the beginning. Now he's the bad John Cena. And that makes perfect sense. Like I said in 2016, he's the fall guy. It's easy to blame him. It's easy to blame him when it's controlled demolition. They're all doing this on purpose. And you don't realize it until you step back and say, you know what? I don't want to call myself a Republican. I don't want to call myself a Democrat. I don't want to call myself an independent. I just want to look at this as a realist. What the fuck is going on here? Because none of this shit's getting sorted out. And we're constantly being lied to. We're being led down the primrose lane. We're getting ushered into wars that nobody wants to be a fucking part of. And we're feeding this conglomerate that falls right back into the hands of politicians and people like them in DC, all around the world. Millions of dollars being pumped to them, our tax dollars, and other countries. This is going on in other countries too. It ain't just America. Wait till you find out in your nation this shit's going on there too. How did we just swing from going from, hey, look at this, you know, Biden fucked this around. He gave all this money to Ukraine, and they're doing this and they're doing that. And then you got Trump saying, we're going to stop all this bullshit. Now we're threatening, we're going to give more money. We're going to give more bullshit the taxpayer fucking pays for. Why are we doing that? Because it's meant to piss people off. And if you're smart, if you're intelligent, you're not going to buy into that bullshit. You're not going to be out there in the fucking streets throwing Molotov cocktails, going out there attacking other people, scratching up their Teslas, because that's what people that are uncivilized and stupid, uneducated people act like that. But that same response mechanism, that humanistic response, that's what you're about to see in the markets. And that is not the algorithm changing. That's the algorithm working. That's it working. It's doing its job. But they're adding to it all of these outside influences of twisting everybody's opinion about who's to blame. Who's to blame? They're saying this is Trump's recession. We've been in a recession since year one Biden. That's how it's been. But you don't want to call it that because they have to keep their side believing that they're the right side. And the MAGA people are the crazy people. Now the MAGA people are waking up saying, what the hell's going on here? What is Trump doing here? What is he doing? And they hold on to this little sliver of thread of feeling like they did the right thing in history. Well, at least we don't have Kamala Harris. You have the same team regardless. That's it. You have the backup pitcher right now. The same team's playing. They just put another pitcher in there. And he changed teams mid-story. He showed you who he really is. That's what's going on right now. And people are waking up to it. And they're thinking, this is some bullshit here. And when the rest of the world comes in agreement with that, they're like, you know what? This guy should not be there. He's making all the poorest decisions. Now, I know some of you that are Trumpers right now listen to me and saying, shut the fuck up, you asshole. You don't even vote. You're right, because I ain't stupid. I ain't fucking stupid. I am aware of this facade, this illusion of choice. And I've made fun of it in the past, but we're in a different storyline now, folks. This is it. The whole shebang is about to pop off. And if you don't see it coming, you're going to be reckless with your money. You're going to be reckless with your purchasing. You should not be out there buying fucking Lamborghinis. You know what you should be doing? Solidifying where you're going to get clean water, how you're going to prepare your family members, your children if you have them, to weather these type of stuff. Look how expensive shit is. Look how expensive things are. And if this war accelerates and we see $300 fucking barrel of oil, what do you think it's going to cost you to put gas in your car? You ain't going a fucking place. You're going to lose your life being outside somewhere in your car because they're going to fucking take your car just to get the gas out of it. How's that? How's that make you feel? Does that make you feel like I'm going to take some more leverage and go 15 contracts in my prop firm account? Fuck no, it doesn't. It's sobering because this is the kind of shit that we're teetering on. That doesn't mean clam up and do nothing. Doesn't mean be fearful and go in your bedroom and hide your head under a pillow. It doesn't mean that at all. I'm just saying, hey, look, pay attention, because this is where we're at economically. This is where we're at geopolitically. This is where we're at. They have a lot of things that make us be distracted. The Epstein list, the Diddy list, the bullshit that we did, the COVID stuff. They let these people off the hook that poisoned you. Oh, we're going to take the food coloring out of all the foods now. But we got 17 months or whatever it is they give you. Motherfucker, are you telling me that you're saying that this has got to come out of the food right now, but keep selling it for over a year? They're kicking the can down the road. This is the people that's in charge. And they weren't elected. They were not elected to do these things. These Bilderberg motherfuckers, they come around here. Nobody put them in positions. They didn't vote for them. World Economic Forum people, World Health Organization. These people are unelected. And they're not even fucking doctors. And you're believing them, and other people are defending them, and they're getting off scot-fucking-free doing the shit that they've done to people. If you can't see that all this stuff is a distraction to make you forget about what they fucking did to every one of us, what they stole from us, what they fucking kept us from. They told you you can't see your fucking sick relative as they're dying. You can't visit them in the fucking hospital. You can't bury them. You can't fucking see anybody. Wear a fucking diaper on your face and shut the fuck up. That's exactly what they conditioned. Half of the fucking world population still believes that bullshit. It's coming again. It's coming again. The real one. This was a beta test. When they drop that real shit and people start falling out, the last thing you're going to be worried about is how many contracts you can trade in NASDAQ or how far gold's going to go up or down. You're going to be mind fucked. And most people don't even see it coming because they're so drunk on money right now. Money ain't shit. Money is nothing. It's a distraction. It's a tool for people that know how to use it and master it. But you probably feel like you got a pretty good situation right now with your 401k. I mentioned this in 2016. I said that that's the last bastion for them to plunder because there ain't a fucking stitch one of gold in Fort Knox. Why ain't we find out what we got there? Because it ain't there. There ain't no fucking gold in Fort Knox. There ain't no fucking gold there. We had other countries say, hey, I want our gold back. You know what we told them? Nope, you ain't getting it. What the hell? You tell your fucking friend, your best friend, hey, look, can you hold on to this $10,000 for me? I don't want to put it in my bank account because my spouse might spend it. Sure, man, I got you. You give it to him. You come back a week later. Say, listen, thanks, man. I'm glad I could trust you. Can I get my money back? No. What the hell is that? That's a backstabbing. That's what you have seen if you've been paying attention. We've done that to other countries. We've done that. England has done it too. Yep. How long do you think that kind of shit goes on before somebody says, you know what? We're going to punish you. We're going to cost you. And right now, the war is people. That's the artillery of choice. Separating people. What faction and mindset are you going to adopt? Are you on this side or are you on that side? I'm on neither. I'm outside of that bullshit. I'm stepping back and I'm watching them both fight each other. Because I ain't going to be consumed by that shit. I'm not worried, folks. I'm not stressing about it. And neither should you because you can't stop it. But you know what you can do? You can be in control of your own finances. You can say, you know what? I'm not going to take crazy fucking risks. As I make money, I'm taking it out and I'm buying tangible assets, not depreciating assets like fucking sports cars. Not going, oh, I'm going to spend all my money on lavish lifestyle. Nope. Do you have a residence outside of your own that if shit gets stupid where you're at, you can go there? Some of this stuff won't be possible for some of you. I understand that you know, this is probably in a way sometimes viewed in a way where it makes you feel depressed. But imagine if you didn't have this perspective that it's likely to come and it happens. You're going to be more scared to do anything. You'll be paralyzed. You won't know what to do, which is the reason why I even brought it up in 2016. These are long-term macro geopolitical events that are happening, and you aren't stopping it. It doesn't matter if there's a Democrat or a Republican in the White House because they're all the same team. Think about it. What is really being done right now? Nothing. They're just buying more time to let people get pissed off, and the whole idea will be you're no longer worried about Epstein. You're no worried about P. Diddy and who was on that shit show. You're not worried about what they did with the COVID era stuff. How many companies were shut the fuck down and people's business were put out of fucking business. Boom. All these people are getting money over in fucking Ukraine. Billions and billions of fucking dollars. Why aren't those people that were forced to close their doors, why aren't they being subsidized and being paid restitution? Because they fucking deserve it. Why are we paying for other people's fucking retirements in another country? Because it's money laundering. But you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear, give me a buy signal, how to find low risk trades. When all this shit falls in your lap, like it will with everybody, and me included, the last thing I'm going to be doing is looking at charts. That's the last thing I'm going to be doing. But while we have time to do it, and we can, we should. But don't lose sight that we are in some shit, man. We are in some fruity shit. And it's about to go ape shit out there. The people are going to lose their minds. Look at them. They can't afford anything right now. And this motherfucker is saying, we're going to do tariffs. Great. Then kill the fucking income tax. Nope, we're not going to do that. Oh. So we're getting double dicked. No lube. No reach around. That's exactly what's happening too. That's exactly what's fucking coming on. We're paying the fucking tariff. And we're keeping the income tax where it is. I pay 40 fucking percent. If I don't shelter things, I'm paying 40% based on income brackets. If they're going to do the tariffs, do away with the income tax. But they're not. You know what they're doing? They're creating another slush fund. Folks, look back in history. Every single time a civilization went to shit, you know what they did? They plundered the treasury. They took all the fucking money and it was a wealth transfer. Don't take my word for it. Study real history. Real fucking history. Not the Mickey Mouse bullshit that they try to tell you is history. That's why people are stupid. They don't know what fucking sex they are. They don't know what they have going on in their head. What am I? I don't know. What's a woman? What's a man? None of you motherfuckers can adequately define that because you're afraid to say it publicly because you're going to be outcasted. There's so much mental illness right now. They created it. They fostered it. They created this shit. And it's going to spill into the markets, people. It's going to happen. And once it happens, and that shit starts going on, man, they're going to have a field day running the market all over the place. And it's going to feel like things are broken. They won't be.
That's insane.
They're absolutely in control.
Thank you so much, man.
They're in
Thank you
control.
so much. Hey, thank you. You
You're welcome.
you broke it down for me. Trust me. I couldn't think of it in that context. It's so, you see, you have to have some detachment from the chaos around price anyway, because at the end of the day we're looking at price, but there's so much chaos around it, so much theatrics that we have to either
Yeah.
enjoy the show or ignore the show, because when you watch the show and don't like it, you end up being that trader on Wall Street that just doesn't like anyone, You know, you don't like
Hmm.
the system so much that you end up being, I don't know, you fantasize about being the Joker at the end of the day. You know, so like, I don't know, it's a weird world we live in, and just seeing it as you know, just without being attached to the things happening, you just, you know, take advantage of knowing that you can read price and just take advantage of it, do it, you know. So
That's the only thing you
yeah.
do is live day by day, seize the opportunity. Okay, carpe diem. Okay, you have to see what presents itself as an opportunity while you can take advantage of it. Because there's coming a time real soon where we won't have this luxury to do it. We won't have it. And there won't be these people on social media showing you windfall victories and tell you it's easy as shit, come over here and copy me type trading, or buy my course, or buy my books, or buy my system, or buy a membership to my Discord, or whatever the hell it is. There's coming a time like that, and they're all going to disappear. And they're going to be sitting in their house, if they can still have one, and they're going to be shitting themselves thinking, what in the hell did I do? I did not have any no preparation for this. I have my money tied up in shit I can't touch now. When the grid goes down, look, folks, look what happened in Spain. I told you when the lights fucking go out, your crypto shit ain't worth nothing. Oh, but I got it on what that you can't access. Think about when the grid goes down. Can you buy anything with your debit card or your credit card? No, you can't. It's cash only. But they're trying to tell us we need to move away from cash. We need to move away. I had someone this year go into my bank account and take $7,500 out. Now I got the money back. It's not a big deal. But they're able to do that because it's electronic funds. Everything's online banking, online banking, online banking. If you have a lot of money in checking accounts, you're a fucking idiot. You need to put your money into a savings account because they cannot do ACH payments through savings accounts. So all you guys that are showing your bank accounts all the time, look at this, I got a couple $100,000. I'm rich. You're not fucking rich too. You're stupid because you're keeping that money in an account where ACH purchases can be made. I had an account that had 200 some thousand dollars in, which if I lost that with them stealing it for a little while, I know that FDIC is going to pay it back, just like they gave the $7,500 back. But that doesn't happen in any of the accounts I have in savings. It will never happen. That will never, ever happen. And there's no checks on savings accounts. So what is it? It's the best form of protecting your cash on reserve in a bank. And I keep just about $20,000, $30,000 below the FDIC maximum, which is $250,000. Do I believe they have enough money to cover everything if shit goes upside down? Absolutely not. But am I losing sleep over it? Because in that situation, once it gets there, it is what it is. Everybody's on the same playing field then. You make as much as money as I make, and I have as much money as you have at that time. When everything goes to shit, we're all equals then. But while we have this time to do what we can, anything did you see how I shifted from you can grow wealth, you can grow wealth, you can grow wealth, and then COVID transitioned to me, you need to make ends meet. That wasn't by accident. I told everybody. I had people leave my mentorship in 2020, said I was a fucking nut.
So true.
And they're begging to come back in. They're begging me to come back in. Because everything I said has happened. Everything's expensive. They can't afford shit. Groceries off the fucking charts. How much does it cost for food where you're at? Where you're at right now, how much does food cost? Is it expensive or is it cheap? I'm asking you. Pippi.
Who's it?
Hello.
Expensive. Very
Yeah.
expensive.
So
Super expensive. And it's not going to change.
Feels that. Everybody feels that. And guess what? You better have deeper pockets that you have right now because it's going to get even more expensive. And if you can't find a way to push savings into a place where you can access it, that means cash reserves outside of a bank. Look at what happened in Spain. The power went out. And they come up with some Mickey Mouse bullshit excuse. Well, we had a climate event that caused the grid to go down. Get the fuck out of here. That's controlled. They're doing a test run in that country, and it's going to happen in good old America. You want to see people go fucking crazy? Let the lights go out for a week. Let the fucking food shelves get wiped out in hours, and there ain't nothing being brought to the stores. Let that situation happen wherever you live in America. It's going to be the wild, wild west. And the things that you have to procure, whether it be gas for people that have been smart enough to stockpile a little bit of it, and it's going to be like a black market. It sounds like Mad Max scenario shit, doesn't it? It does. But there's a lot of people that learn from me that that's a way of life over in Africa. That's the way it is. Power goes down. Where am I going to get energy from? I need gasoline for my generators. I need to do this. They make ends meet however they got to do it. In America, we think we walk around like shit ain't never going to happen here. Dude, it is coming. They've tested during the last 4 years how they can hit our grid. And a certain combination of certain things happening, the whole thing comes down. Why the fuck are we getting our energy from Canada? The whole northeastern block of the United States subsidized through Canada's production in electric. How the fuck's that even making sense? How does that make sense? It makes no sense. None. And here we are, we're butting heads with China, where we get all of the infrastructure that keeps our grid going, repair it, and they're saying we're stopping everything coming over there now. That's what you don't see. That's the deduction of all these things coming and coalescing to a shitstorm that nobody sees happening. It's coming. It's going to come. I can go about 6 months with the lights and everything off. I can run 6 months. I have power systems that will allow me to do that nonstop for 6 months. But after 6 months, I'm a fucking caveman. Now, it costs me a lot of money. It costs me a lot of things and resources to put that shit in place. Not most of you couldn't do that. So my question to you is this: what are you wasting your money on right now? It sounds like it cannot happen, but just take a look around, folks, because this shit is coming. The people in our White House right now, they're not looking out for you. They say they are, but they're not. They're worried about dumb Mickey Mouse shit. Sure, we get treated wrong in America. We have to pay a huge tariff for this going into that country. Who gives a shit? We're throwing billions and billions of dollars over there to a country that's just a laundry machine. But people got wiped out in a hurricane in Tennessee and Carolina, and they're living in fucking tents. Why are they living in a fucking tent? If you were living in a fucking tent in the South America or lower states of America, how would you feel about billions of your tax dollars going over to another fucking country by a fucking goofball that used to dance around in fucking leather tight pants and high heels? Get the fuck out of here. I would be mad as fuck. I would be wanting to raise some motherfucking hell. And now we're threatening that we're going to give more of it to them for spite. It's all designed to piss us off. And it's going to splash over into the marketplace. It's coming, folks. And when you piss enough people off and shit starts happening, look what they're doing with the Tesla stuff. Oh, they're going to scratch the car. That's how it starts. That's a demarker. That's telling you the show has started. People are willing to risk their fucking freedom to put a fucking scratch on a car that doesn't belong to them because they believe evil Elon Musk needs to punish. He needs to be punished. Think about it. Then all of a sudden it'll be like, well, we got to go out and do more damage to the people that believe this and that. In my neighborhood, you don't see any like political statements or signs in the yards. Maybe you do see where you're at, but we're in an affluent area. We don't see that kind of stuff. But the outskirts of our neighborhood used to be littered with Trump, and then you see Biden and Harris and stuff like that. You don't see anybody with Trump signs up right now. Why? Two things are happening. One, they're kind of pissed off and they don't want to show any allegiance to him right now. The second is they're scared shitless that someone's going to do something to their property because they see what's going on with Elon Musk and Tesla. So MAGA people are taking a step back visibly where they don't want to show their support of him anymore. It doesn't mean that they don't support him. It just means that they're taking that step back and they don't want to be known publicly. There's this shift that's taking place. It's mind control. Government in Latin means mind control. All you got to do is take a broad step back and say, okay, what's being done and what's being focused on right now? And where's the big stones in the road that should be being taken care of, and they're not? It's all this little side stuff. And it's all meant to get you gassed and pissed off. And we're going into the hot months where all the protests always take place. Cities burn in the summertime. And as soon as that stuff happens, nobody's going to be worrying about nothing. But am my house going to get caught on fire? Am I going to have wildfire in my area? Because there's enough people that came into our country that have every reason to do that kind of shit. It's easy to start a fire. It's easy. And when people start doing crazy shit and they want to do maximum damage, they're going to do stuff like that. Do you have a way to protect your house if a wildfire breaks out? I have an irrigation system that completely floods my whole fucking area. I got 8 acres. And this whole thing will be a swamp. It'll be a fucking swamp inside of an hour and a half. That sounds crazy. Oh, good. Well, you can call it crazy, but I call my fucking house standing still. It's brick, mortar, and I have a moat system on delivery, just like that. I take this shit seriously. I'm not telling you some bullshit. I've prepared. Since 2020, I put things in motion. In 2019, I said, shit's coming. It's worse than 9/11. I told you all this shit was coming, and they made fun of me. They said, Chicken Little this and Chicken Little that. Fear porn. Okay. Look at what happens. The whole fucking planet's messed up. Everybody's in the broke fucking house. It costs a lot of money for me to buy food. And it pisses me off that I got to spend that much for things that just 5 years ago, I could fill a grocery cart with $150. $150? Shit, that's nothing now. That's nothing. And if you have a family, how are you providing for them? Just barely, if nothing else, you're borrowing from other people or running out credit cards that person's going to have to get paid. That credit card is going to have to be paid. The limit's going to be met eventually. And you have to make a change. You have to change what it is you're doing. What pursuits are you having right now? Do you want to live a lavish lifestyle? Or are you preparing to weather a storm that everybody's going to experience? It's coming, folks. There's no avoiding it. It is absolutely coming. And if you're not prepared for it, or at least hedging it some way by having cash reserves on hand, you're fucking around with fire. You're literally waiting for the worst case scenario to happen and be ill prepared for it. Because if our grid goes down in the United States, that's not something that we're going to turn it back on. Where are we going to get the parts if China says, fuck you, we're not sending shit? Because we don't have lots of them sitting around in reserve. Ask people that are in the industry. I have linesmen that are friends of relatives, and they tell you all the time, they got to wait for all these things to happen. It's a shit show when these other counties and states have to go to other states because they don't have enough on demand to fix all of these things when the storms go through and rip down the power lines and all the capacitors and I don't even know what the hell these things are, transformers. We don't make them in America. We have no real stockpile of that stuff except for on hand, just a few over here, a few over there. And it takes this concerted effort of other states to come together just to fix one area that's destroyed by a storm. And that restocking time isn't immediate. And now where we get all those parts from, China. They said, go fuck yourself, Trump. That's what they've done. Go to the ports on the West Coast. Check in on people that live over there. Say, hey, what's the ports look like right now? A fucking barren wasteland. All your medications, your prescription medications, coming from India and China. Isn't it interesting that now India is getting fucked with Pakistan, and Pakistan's getting fucked with India? You don't think there's a future disruption in dispersing the pharmaceuticals that come out of that country? You're damn right it will be. Because here's the end goal, lower population. There's too many of us that say, we don't want to listen to your way of thinking. Because you're fucking maniacs. You're psychopaths. You're willing to kill people to get what you want. That's the reality of all this, folks. The end game is a lower population. And if they can get us fighting one another in the streets and killing one another easily, that's one good way. Not that it's good in a sense it's good, but it's a good way in their perspective. And if they can control the food, and they got control of the food, You control the food, you control the people. Look at Africa. Look at them. These poor souls are willing to do whatever they can just to get food. They'll rob you. They'll steal from you. And I would do the same fucking thing if I was starving. I've said it before. Listen, if it comes down where I can't access my money and I run out of supplies here and at my other home, guess what I'm going to be willing to do? The unfucking thinkable. And you would be too. Say otherwise, you're a fucking liar. My kids are going to eat. I might go without, but my fucking kids are going to eat. And they're pushing people globally, everywhere, with ass backwards government, ass backwards leadership. It's not even leadership anymore, but it's meant to piss you off. And instead of saying, you know what? Things got to change in the extreme. What that means for you, I don't know. But I know I'm not going in the fucking streets and doing stupid shit. I'm going to hunker down and take care of my own for as long as I can. But the end result is less people, because less people is easier to control. Governments have expanded exponentially when they should be small governments that are serving the populace, the citizens. We don't have that. There's this paradigm shift. The only thing that's changed algorithmically is government's gotten bigger and more control, and populations have lost their freedom, their rights, their liberties. Think about it, folks. It's meant for chaos. It's meant to do those things. And you think that our trading endeavors, the playground that we have the privilege to be a part of every day, Monday through Friday, unless it's a holiday, you think that they're not going to fuck with that? That's where the money's at. If they reduce the population and control the wealth that's sitting right there to be taken, you think they're not going to do that? Come on. That's exactly what they intend to do. But they have to have a storyline that justifies why everything went to shit. They got some goober in the White House that's pissed off, and he has a bone to pick with everybody. And he thinks he can bully other countries and tell them what they're going to do. You better do this or do that. You think Putin gives a fuck what he's saying? No. You think the president of China thinks that Trump has their best interest in mind? No. They're laughing at this guy. They're laughing at them. And what are we going to do? We're going to threaten. We're going to do the only thing we can do. War, baby. War, war, war. Our commodity is war. Our commodity, our service to the world's economy is we can make war and war instruments. So isn't it interesting that all these wars are popping off? I told you this is going to be the end result in 2020. I said this is only going to end with World War III. That's what this has all been hyped up to do it. You lose a lot of people that way. People that are in high seats get lots more richer than they are. And they establish power and control. Because money's not it anymore. There's lots of billionaires. Money's easy. You've seen that. It's easy to go out there and find it. Just watch some ICT videos and put some work into it, back test, and there it is. You can pay off your deficit, right? If it could only be that easy. I could balance the fucking budget. They give me access to it. I'll put a fucking automated trading fucking thing on there. In 6 years, everything will be fucking perfect. Perfect. No drawdown. How about that? But we won't have that problem long. Because 4 years go by like this. Look how fast this year has zipped through. We're in the 5th month already. How much has changed? Nothing. Shit's more expensive. Oh, there's no recession now. Inflation's gone down. Where? Where's the savings at? Because I don't see it. And I got shit tons of money. I don't see any savings. I see everything I spend money on going higher. And for you that don't have as much as I have, I'm sure it's sickening. Like, how the fuck can this keep going on? I'm barely making it. They're choking you out. That's exactly what it's designed to do. Because if you get to that point, you're going to start doing things that you would never think to do. During the summer months, you want to just unload on everybody. You got to snap. Just let it go. Maybe you never would shoplift, but maybe you might do it this summer. You would never stick that pound of ground beef in your bag in the store, but when you're broke and you can't make ends meet, you're contemplating doing that. Let me tell you something. I'm not above doing that if I had to. And that's just fucking real talk right there. My family's going to eat. And I understand how people are going to act when when it hits the fan. They're all going to be thinking like this. And I'll repent afterwards. But your family's your family. You got to do what you got to do. And other people doing less than us, less fortunate than us, are being pushed into decisions that are life altering, not only for themselves, but for other people. And for the people that sit there and they leave comments and say, oh, fear porn, nothing ever happens, this stuff's always been said for years and years and years, get the fuck out of here. That's a 20-year-old that doesn't even know what history is because they stopped teaching real history. You got judges in America right now that don't have the fucking authority to overrule a presidential fucking decision. They don't have the rights to do that. They don't have the control. They don't have the platform to do it. They don't have the reach. And they're testing the perception of the American people because they're saying, yeah, finally a judge stands up to, it doesn't work that way, folks. They stopped teaching civics for a reason. Most people don't even know what the fucking Bill of Rights is. They've never read the Constitution. They don't know what the fucking stages of due process is, who's entitled to it or not. People coming into our country illegally have more rights than the fucking people that are here that pay fucking taxes. Yes, that's a fucking problem. I don't give a shit where you come from. It's not limited to Latin America. It's to everybody that was going through there. But guess what? Flip side of the coin. If I was elsewhere and that was going on, my ass would have came through that fucking border too. I'd be getting my $10,000 fucking debit card. I'd be getting my free cell phone. I'd be getting my free health care. I would have done it too. I'm not blaming them. But we have a real fucking problem that ain't going away fast or easy. And I don't have the solution. The only thing I'm doing is preventing a complete meltdown where I have no access to resources when it happens. We have never had a sustained blackout. We've not had that. Spain just tested it. And the citizens tasted it. How frustrating would that be? You can't pay for anything. You need things, but you can't pay for it. And you don't have cash on hand because everything's been going towards electronic debit and banking. And you guys love this crypto bullshit. Your fucking wallets won't be accessible. So how are you going to pay for shit? You don't think, because you don't think that this type of stuff's going to happen here. But that's exactly what's coming. And that's how they will force all this shit on you. And their solution after they present the problem is what everybody's going to be forced to approve and say, yes, I am going to subscribe to that way of doing things. People's bank accounts are going to get plundered. I've already seen it happen with mine. My wife's account, because she does all this debit stuff, that's why we do not bank in the same accounts. And you can say whatever the fuck you want to say about me, but my wife, she spends money stupidly. She swipes debit cards, she swipes credit cards in any place. She doesn't care. She ain't looking for those little things that lay over top of the credit card reader and skim it. So she's always having issues with her bank accounts. But I'm exempt from her shit. She's always battling the fucking banks to get her money back in her account because she's getting hit all the time because she's reckless with her spending. She has no name on any bank account that has my name on it. Not one. Not fucking one. I share no bank account with none of them. Not one of my kids, not my wife. I hedge against all that stuff. I don't own a debit card. I don't own one. They're the stupidest fucking thing anybody could have. And you probably use a debit card every single day for your purchasing. All you're doing is ensuring that your number's out there. And it's a direct route right to your bank account. Money. I do purchases through a company corporate credit card. That's their money. When they hit that card, that's their fucking problem. Meantime, I'm not paying that bill. And I have an Amex Gold card. They're always pushing me for the platinum card. They're always just saying, hey, look, let's get the Centurion card. Let's get this. No, I rolled back down to just the gold card. It only cost me $400 a year. And then I use it so much that I get perks back for it. I'm rich, but I ain't stupid with money. I do things because I see what's coming. When I was younger, I didn't think this way. But I have a family that's growing. And I want to make sure that I can take care of them when shit gets upside down. I may not be able to do it entirely. I may not be able to do everything I'm preparing to be willing to do, but at least I'm sleeping at night knowing I can. I can make an attempt to do these things. I'm not out there living lavishly when I could. I want to be responsible with what's been given to me. Like I want to be a good steward with what it is that's been given to me. And I'm trying to cultivate that in you as a listener. For young people, you don't want to hear this message. You probably already, I don't even know how many people are watching. You probably just signed off and said, okay, this is bullshit. I'm done. There's nothing about trading anymore. You're going to remember the things you've heard so far when shit goes upside down and you can't press the button to get into or out of a trade. What do you think is going to happen? As soon as the grid goes down or an event causes them to make trading inaccessible for an extended period of time, it could be a week, it could be a couple weeks, it could be 3 days, it could be one fucking day. The way the world is right now, imagine your 401k that you self-direct the trade yourself. You have access to your money. You're doing all the investments. You're trading your own accounts. All of a sudden, you can't do shit. You can't get in or get out. You can't add to or take some off. See, some of you weren't even alive during the 9/11. I was stuck in the market. I was stuck in the market. I couldn't get out. What do you think is going to happen when people see that happen here and they open the market 1,500 to 2,000 points lower? Because it's designed to cause people to freak out and puke up their guts. And everybody panic sell. Boom, 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 boom. That's controlled demolition, just like 9/11 was. And they're gonna create the very thing that they're gonna blame Trump. He caused all this stuff. It's been put in motion decades ago, folks. This inflated run up, this parabolic run in equities and stocks, none of those companies deserve to be valued at the prices that they're at now. Not one company deserves to be valuated at where they're at right now. But they're going to plunder it. They're going to plunder it. And it's going to be done in a way where you can't trade it. They're going to pull the plug. It's the biggest rug pull that's ever going to happen. And that's the outcome. And it's going to go so low, that's their reset. It's real cheap for them, and they can start the whole process all over again. And it'll be another 75 years to 100 years of probably advancing in the stock market. That's their goal. That's their plan. I don't think it's going to work that way, but that's what they're trying to do. There's a whole lot of carnage and chaos coming. And while we have the daylight to be able to do this, and we can make a little bit of scratch and put a little bit on the side to buy some things, non-perishable foods, shore up your house. Is there some projects around your house that need to be addressed? Things that shore up your sound home. Or you have a car that you need to get new tires or new engine work done, and you can't afford to get a new car. You don't want to make the foolish mistake of paying way too much for them. Tariffs are causing them to be 25% or more if they're outside of the United States. If you can fix it, fix it. If you have a car that you're not getting rid of anytime soon, pick up some air filters, oil filters, and some oil for it, some spark plugs. Maybe a fan belt or something that, in case shit goes upside down, chances are someone that knows a mechanic if they're not one themselves. And you may be able to have the parts for them to do it. And you can exchange something and say, hey, look, at least my shit's running. But what do you think happens if we go full-scale war with Iran? They don't do a whole global supply of the oil, but they do big enough that's going to be impactful. And then if I was Russia, I'd be like, fuck you. We're not going to be sending any oil anywhere else either. Now think about that. That parlays this problem exponentially, which would feed what? The energy market's going through the roof. My electric bill, because we have propane at my home here that I'm talking from here. This is a propane-fed home, and my electric bill is over $1,200 a month. And I'm conservative as someone. I don't leave things that I'm not using plugged in because they charge you a delivery fee for anything that's plugged in. Probably didn't know that, but if you have a big house with lots of receptacles, you would see a notable difference in your bill if you just unplug things you don't use all the time. But even with that type of living, just electric is over $1,200 a month. My propane bill is about $1,200 a month, give or take. It goes down a little bit in the summertime, unless I'm heating the pool up for a little while. But other than that, The average is around $1,200 yearly, month to month. I've never seen this home go above 800 until last year. And I think it's going to go even higher now. So I think to myself all the time when I'm paying these bills, I'm like, man, if I had to pay this and I didn't have this luxury of having what I've been given, I would literally be stressing out like crazy. And I know people that are my students, they constantly give me feedback all the time. They leave comments saying, I'm thankful for this because it helped me pay our utility bills for the last 3 months. I'm cushioned. I have a little bit of a cushion. And they're thankful for that. That's the kind of message I like hearing. That's what I like seeing. I don't like seeing, here's the new car I just bought. Because to me, you're showing me that you didn't even listen to me. You didn't even listen. You're trying to distract yourself from mundane, everyday living to be something versus preparing, making yourself fortified to weather the storm. Because you're not going to be able to think clearly when the shit gets worse. And it's going to get worse. Food's going to get more expensive. Nothing is saying that the food's going to get cheaper. Where are we going to get cheaper food from? How about this? You buy a loaf of bread, right? Sure you do. Everybody buys bread. The plastic wrap that goes on them, a lot of that comes from other countries. The raw material that make that stuff comes from other countries. There's a lot of things that we eat or purchase to run the manufacturing to produce and package our food. It comes from China. So we could have the raw material good of food, but they have no way of packaging it and shipping it around to sell it to people in our own country. Did you know that? So you don't think about that because the news ain't telling you that's what we're exposed to. Same thing in your other country, England, Canada. Every other country out there has the same problem, and China holds the cards. But in America, we're over the barrel right now because they're saying, we're going to call your bluff, and we're going to stop all the shit going over there. See, things are about to get real, real hard. Unless things change drastically, immediately, just like that. And I guess it could, but we're still going to have some reverberations from all this stuff. It doesn't mean the food's going to get cheaper right away. But imagine your food bill tripling. What does it cost you to feed yourself every month and your family? What happens if it goes 3 times that? Can you weather that? Can you weather the stress of that, where you can think clearly and it's not affecting your trading? Chances are that's going to be the undermining. Because you could be making money, but all of a sudden now you have to make money. Whereas before I'm going to grow my account. I don't have to take the money out. I'm going to let it build up, build up. Now you have to take withdrawals. You have to take the money out. You think you can trade objectively like that? That's like quitting trading. Quitting your job to start trading after you learn how to trade and you're starting with a $5,000 account, but you're going to support your family and yourself. You're not going to do that. Not and succeed, no. Which is why I tell you to have at least 1 year minimum, preferably 2 years of living expenses. Then a $100,000 account. Then you're prepared to make a go at it. Because you're not forcing yourself, I have to make money. See, you're not listening to me and thinking this has any application to you until it will. The stress that's going to be placed on everyone is going to cause you to second guess every trade you're getting into. So doesn't it make sense to have rule-based ideas that you can lean on and say, you know what? I'm a wreck emotionally and psychologically right now. I have so much stress. My children are still too young to take care of themselves. I have a wife. I have a husband that's disabled. I have all these things. I have pets. I have dogs. Okay, we make our own food for them. It costs me $150 a week to make the food I feed them because they eat something I can eat themselves. Like I could literally take the food that I give them and put a fork in it and eat it. That's how they live. I don't want my dogs to eat garbage. But I'm prepared for it to become over $500 a week to feed them. Their diet will not change. Do you have the wherewithal to be able to do that for your family? Do you have the mindset that's going to afford you the luxuries of saying, you know what? I'm unshakable. Yes, everything around me right now is going to shit, and it's hard to get things without spending too much money on it. But I have a supply of it. I have a cushion, a pantry full of things that should not perish right away. I have cash on hand in case I need to make decisions and be able to pay in case the power goes down. And I have the freedom of worry and stress because I've built in this cushion of I have extras. I'm not fearful that the grocery stores just got emptied out, and I can take the next trade when that's still available to us. You'll be able to invest and capitalize on the very strange occurrence of bad things happening yields to opportunities for rich people or people that know how to trade. Chaos and destruction, storms, droughts, famine, all those things are terrible. But someone that's educated can profit from that and not be made more destitute. And I don't see any, I have no qualms against people that would see that and say, oh, you're evil because you're making money off of it. You're an idiot. You're an idiot, okay? If you can't see the means of being able to multiply what you have in a bad situation, you're stupid. You're a fool. I'm not hurting anybody by taking these trades, and you're not hurting anybody either. We all sign the same risk disclosures when we open up our accounts. But how many of you are prepared to be able to engage in trade, managing yourself, your emotions in those extreme conditions? Because that's what's happening. It's just a slow boil, folks. It's just a slow boil. You feel cushioned because you have cash in the bank. But how much cash do you have in hand? Because unless it's in your fucking hand, you don't have it. You don't have it. And you need to prepare for those types of things. Because what good is it? What good is it if you have lots of money to be able to trade, but you don't have food in your house to take care of your family? And they're barking at you saying, listen, why are you pushing them fucking buttons and playing around on the trading shit, and we don't have any groceries in the house? And your response is, I got to make the money to buy the groceries, when you should have had a supply already there. And you're going to be stressed out. You think you can fucking take that fucking trade that you're taking right now? You think you can trade your prop firm account under that kind of bullshit? You can't. Nobody fucking human can. You care about these people, right? They're your fucking family. You will not be able to do that. So that's what I'm saying. You're hedging yourself against the unthinkable. At least you've done something. So that way when it happens, you won't be reckless. You won't be tore up with stress. You won't be thinking, I got to put a trade on right now because I need to make food. I need to make food fall in the laps of my children. You're spoiled. You're completely oblivious to what could potentially upset everything. And you could be a great trader. You could be the best ICT fucking student trader. You could be all those things. But it doesn't mean shit if you're so stressed out that you can't even focus to take a trade. And every losing trade in those conditions feels like you're on the verge of blowing the account. Think about it. I'm not talking to fucking, I'm not monetized here, am I? I hijacked fucking Kit's fucking show. But I mean what I'm telling you. What do you think I've been doing the last 5 fucking years? I'm preparing. I know this ain't done. It's not done. They did a beta test with this COVID bullshit, and they're constantly building all these other little side stories to justify why everything crashed during this administration. And I want to be wrong. I want to be fucking wrong. For my own family's fucking sake, I want to be wrong. But by all indications, I'm batting 1,000 fucking percent since 2016, and then 2019, the shit show started. You think it's just going to just fade away and everything's going to go back to euphoria? It's going to be easy for everybody to have money. Jobs are going to be plentiful. Look around. People are laying off. You're used to having this 6-figure job and your shit's getting shut down. Where are you going to go to get that now? That's stressful. That's scary. I don't want to be in that situation. I know what it was like living with anxiety. And I know that while I have time and resources, I have to put them in good use. I encourage my friends and family, and largely they all think I'm full of shit. They don't care because they think I'm just the rich guy, and there it is. Okay. But I know they're coming to my house asking me for handouts when it happens, and I have them when they come. I don't want to turn any of my family away, my extended family. I know what's coming. Whether you want to believe me or not, I don't give a fuck. But for the ones that are smart and they care about themselves and their family, they're going to listen to what I'm saying. They're going to say, you know what, I'm going to make some changes in how I spend my money. I got to have a pay me first mentality. What's that mean? I'm going to put a percentage of my income that I'm making as a trader and your job and say, you know what? I don't give a shit about football, basketball, all these sports. I'm not going to games. I'm not going to concerts. I love Counting Crows. I told you recently. And I wanted to go see them. They're going to be in Columbia, Maryland here in a little while. And I'm not paying $750 fucking dollars. I love Adam. I love this. I love the Counting Crows, but they're not worth $750 to sit there and watch them sing something that it's not even going to sound like it does in the album. So I'm wealthy, but I'm not stupid with my money. And you need to be having that mindset right now because we are in that last little stage of where what we can do, we can. And there's going to be a day, I don't know what day it is. I don't know that. No one knows that. It's going to happen like 9/11 did. One day you're going to wake up, the weather's going to be pretty. Indian summer day, driving home, comfortable, thankful. Thankful. Walk through the door, all hell breaks loose. What they're going to do next pales in comparison because they're going to hit everything at the same time. There's no escaping it. Gold ain't save you. Silver ain't going to save you. Cryptos ain't going to save you. Trading futures ain't going to save you. None of that shit. The only market that's going to make any sense is commodities, and they're going to go fucking vertical. Limit up. Limit up. Limit up. And if you're properly positioned and you know how to deal with it, long story short, you'll be in a better position than most people. But sadly, not everybody's equipped for that. Not mentally, not emotionally, and certainly not financially. But it ain't like the first time you heard me talk like this. I started talking and crowing about this in 2016. So we're talking 9 years ago. And some of you laughed it off saying, ha ha ha, look around, bro. Yeah, it's a shit show coming. And maybe some of you have done what I've said. And I have students that believe me. They didn't quit mentorship. They didn't ask for a fucking refund, said you're a crazy ass loony motherfucker. I can't listen to a mentor crying because I care about what I'm talking about. And these same people are continuously asking me to let them back into that community. And the answer is no. Well, that's cruel. No. No. You had one chance and it's done. You chose to leave, you left. Done. I have no time for people like that. Because when the shit gets deep again, they're going to run around and do the crazy shit again because they're reckless. The people that listened and said, you know what, I got extra food, and when shit went down and we were in lockdown, I didn't suffer. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I got testimonies from people that said, you know what, I believe what you said. It made sense to me. And I put myself in a situation, I had to be in a better preparation state than I was. And it happened where they lived. Not in America, in other countries. And they got through it fine. Where other people, they're going through a whole lot of shit. Stress. Without. I'm doing it again here. Maybe it was rude of me to go into this. Maybe it was something I should have never mentioned or talked about. Maybe I took the opportunity and had too much liberty and go in this direction this far and extreme about it. I don't give a fuck. I don't apologize, kid. I don't. Because this is what it needs to be said. It needs to be said. Because people don't see it. They don't see it coming. They're not preparing for it. And when it happens, everybody's going to say, I wish I would have known better. I wish I'd known this was coming because I would have done this, 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 and this, and this. Well, you know, here it is. Here we are at 2019 again. It's July. Here it is, October in 2019. I said it 2 times. I said, shit's coming. You better get your shit together. And in March 2020, the world changed. And we're still living in the bullshit. And they're trying to kick dirt over top of that and make you forget about it. And they're willing to do anything to do so because they got to keep you in control. So my question to you in closing, because I got to get out of here. I was supposed to be at a family function 3.5 hours ago. My question to you is this. What are you going to change right now to do whatever you feel comfortable to try to hedge against this stuff coming? Because what's going to happen if I'm wrong? What could happen? If you have extra cash reserves, if you have extra things around the house that you use that you may not be able to get your hands on, let alone 30 days from now, not even counting 12 months at the end of the year. Are you going to do something differently? Or are you going to just say, you know what, this guy's, it's fear porn. It's fun to listen to. It's scary, but nothing's going to happen. Or are you going to be like, you know what? I have family. I have children that depend on me. And I want to make sure I have peace of mind because I like what I'm doing. And as long as I have the access to trade my money, I want to be able to free up mental equity because you're all going to be fucking mentally bankrupt when this shit hits. And you're not going to know what you're doing. You're going to be constantly watching the news, trying to figure out what's going on. And they're going to lie to you just like they've been lying all along. And you're going to remember this conversation. You're going to remember the shit I said. Just like a lot of you remember in 2016, I said that Trump was going to get in there and they're going to use him as a fall guy. Look what they've done. He was the Messiah his first time here. The chosen one. That was his fucking words. He literally came out and said, I could go out there and shoot somebody in the street and get away with it. They'd let me get away with that. And you think I talk arrogantly. And now he comes out and everything that he's promising that he was going to change and do ain't happening. That's designed. It's designed to make you feel demoralized, feel like you've been betrayed. He's just playing bad John Cena right now. And just like in wrestling, he's staying in character. But you can't see it that way because that's not realistic. That's not part of the paradigm. The left-right paradigm, which is nonsense. It's all the same people. They're all in the same show. You're all in the Truman Show, okay? It's all scripted. You just don't realize it, but you're slowly waking up to it. And when you live outside the influence of all that stuff, you don't live in fear. You're always steps ahead. You're not surprised when it happens. You're prepared if it does, and you can't change it. So it's very liberating living like this. I don't live like a crackpot afraid to go outside my house. I'm well protected. I have a lot of brass friends and a lot of friends that's, a lot of freedom seeds share. Okay, let's put it that way. I can ventilate someone unwelcome in my home very, very efficiently. If you don't have things like that, maybe you should get one. If you don't have the freedom seeds that go in them, maybe you should stock up on them because ammo price is going to go through the fucking roof. They're already expensive. Do you have a way of getting clean drinking water? Right now, if the grid went down and water wasn't pumping to your house anymore, where would you go to get fresh water or potable water where you can make it drinkable? Think about those types of things. Because if you're forced to think about it when the shit's hitting the fan, you're not going to think clearly. Do you have online, not online, but do you have on hand any prescription medications? This can heat up, folks. In India being tore up with Pakistan fighting, and China, both of those are the number one providers for medication, prescription medication. Heart, blood pressure, diabetes, all those medications predominantly come outside of the United States. We don't produce any of that stuff. How about your testing strips? You're diabetic? You might want to stock up on some of that stuff. Testing strips, lancers, a backup lancing device, alcohol prep wipes, all that shit comes from China. That's not coming over here right now. How's that going to affect you if you are a very sensitive diabetic? Folks, it's not about buy and sell signals. It's about just common decency and compassion. I'm trying to prepare you The only way I can. Somebody asked me this morning, I think it was Adam, what are you thinking about, ICT? This. How can I communicate it to you? How can I communicate to you without sounding like a Bible thumper? This is the first time I mentioned it. How the Lord's dealing with me. I don't want to talk about these things. I know that you're not going to want to listen to me. It's not exciting. It doesn't make you rich. I don't even know why he pressed it on me in 2016. I didn't go out there planning to talk about it. After I said all those things, I was like, where did that come from? I know now where it came from. And it's meant for you to learn from it. Do what you can while you can. Because there's coming a time, real soon, where we won't have this luxury. We won't have the ability to do it. It'll be outside our reach. And because that's the likelihood, you have to think about the gravity of that. You will not be thinking clearly. I know I won't be in the state of mind that I'm in right now. And I'm well stocked. I have done whatever I could within my human capabilities, with the resources and the money and all the things and the freedom I have. I've done the best I could to do it. And I still am not prepared as much as I want to be. And I know I'm going to feel stressed because I have loved ones that are going to make stupid decisions. They're not going to listen. They're not going to follow, good sound logic and common sense. Don't do this, do that. My kids don't listen. They're just like you when you're parents. They don't listen. And when it comes to stressful events like that, it's going to be exasperated. So how are you going to spend your time making this money with good old ICT concepts? Is it about luxury for you? Living the fast life? That's what I said. When you learn this stuff, I'm interested to see what you're going to do with it. Because the fools, the idiots, the dumb people take it and they make money with it and they blow it on dumb stuff. Cars are fun, don't get me wrong. Lamborghinis, they're fun, they're cute to look at. They're too expensive to maintain. They're not worth the money you spend on them. And the novelty wears off as soon as all your neighbors see it. So unless you get an influx of new people always finding you and seeing you, and you get the dopamine hit of, wow, look at the car you drive. They're pointless owning it. They're pointless. They're fun to have. Don't get me wrong, they're fun. But they're not practical. Patrick, and I'm sure you're probably listening, think about how long you're holding your cars. The novelty wears off fast, doesn't it? And you pour a lot of money into them. You might want to take a little bit. You have a son. You have a son that you can hedge and protect to make sure he has things, to make sure he eats, to make sure he's clothed, he has shoes on his feet, all these things. It's easy to say, I got plenty of money, I can go out into the store and get it. Until you realize a lot of the stuff we wear and the materials that we use to make them come from China. The raw materials. A lot of people don't realize that. Yeah, there might be lots of food in the fields, the grains and all that stuff, and the meats. But if you can't wrap it up to produce it to give it to the people, you can't sell it. And that's what people don't see. As a commodity trader, I know that. That's the raw materials, the resources that these large producers have to have the access to that. If they don't have access to that, it doesn't matter if they have all the food that would go into the packing material. If they don't have a way to get it to the public, you can't eat. The stores will remain empty. The shelves will not be stocked. End of story. Chaos will ensue. But we will experience the lights going out in this country. It's going to happen. A lot of people like me, I got 6 deep freezers full of shit. Meats, chicken, everything. My power will stay on for 6 months. After 6 months, I'll have food that I can't consume in 6 months that will go bad. I worry about that. I worry about that. There's nothing I can do about it. I trust the Lord. I give him this worry. I give him this concern. And I take it day by day. I do what I can and how I can do it. And I live soberly and I try to be a good steward. I try to be a role model to all of you. I don't show off this and show off that. And I keep it to what it is about finding setups that make money. And I hopefully inspire you to do those things and try to present a manner of preserving your money and not trying to live lavishly. Because it's expensive to do that. and the return on the investment of doing it never pales or pans out in a manner where I'm like, I'm glad I did that, showing off. And if anybody out there that lives like that right now in front of you, I guarantee you, all of them think I was expecting a bigger pop from the audience when I did this. When I showed them this, I was expecting a better return from my audience responses. I was expecting them to look up to me more. That's the pride of life. That's the thing, the flesh. That's what we have to deal with when we're making lots of money. And none of that shit's going to matter when the lights go out. We're all the same then. Our net worth is the same then. When gasoline's not in the pumps anymore because shit went crazy and they got to fuel the war machine, doesn't give a fuck about how fast your Lamborghini can go. Doesn't matter what color wrap you have around it. You won't run it because it won't have gas to go in it. What are you going to do then? If you have the decision of putting gas in a generator that keeps the electric and the refrigerator and the freezer running in your house, or taking a spin in your Lamborghini, what are you going to put the gas in? That's all I'm saying. But if you stay with me this long, Kit, you could have pulled the plug, and I appreciate you not coming in and interjecting and letting me say what my piece was, and I'm content with what I said. I'm going to escape here and leave you all to it. And if I've inspired you at least to do some kind of preparation for you and your families, then great. You can laugh at me, you can troll me, you can say whatever you want to say. I'm thankful I had the opportunity to say it.
Michael, if you don't mind, I think if you let me just close the Trader Roundup with you today, we will indeed close it up. And I appreciate those final words. I think, just as the host of the show, I think I want to speak on behalf of the audience. And I want to say the sense of urgency is real. That's why we're here. And I believe very strongly that the markets and what you teach is providing all of us an opportunity for unbelievable trades. Very, very good opportunities within the right market, within the skill set, and within an opportunity to really compound and become and create more opportunity in a short period of time. I know swinging for the fences isn't exactly what we're talking about as traders, but we are talking about large swings and shifts within the market and projected values. And I believe you've taught that so well in all of your content. And yeah, I really resonate with your projection and projection theory, your gap and your gap theory, your time and your time-based ranges, where and how you map the way in which price and price action has an opportunity to move. And I believe all of us as students have our own inflection and point and resonance towards you and your teaching. So, again, I just want to conclude the show with you here and being the host and kind of trying to speak on behalf of your community. We all align with a sense of urgency and what these markets are and what the markets can be and why we are all here. And that's to protect, provide, support others. And you provide that skill set, and the entire community is extremely grateful. The sense of urgency is real, and that's why we're here. And I think you conveyed that message very clearly. Where and how you allocate your resources, where and how you allocate your time, it matters as a trader. We are professional decision makers. We are stronger together as a collective. We are a mastermind of collective thoughts, energy. What's being communicated and conveyed here is that of a high vibration of goodness and support. We speak on behalf of the light, motivation, positivity, love. We radiate at a high vibration together. That's who and what we are. That's the mastermind principle that comes behind this man's entire life's work. It's to understand a delivery, a fractal delivery. And we have opportunity. The market provides. It's up to you to align with yourself. Make good decisions. Understand the sense of urgency. It's being conveyed. It's why we're here. And you need to act in the force of light, in the force of good, with high moral integrity. You need to be light. You need to be strength. Your intention, your motivation is that of support, to protect, to provide. You come to the market protecting your equity, minimizing your risk, demanding precision. And then you load up that motherfucker and you take what you can. You take your piece. Because I promise you, when you find that precision, guess what? Daddy's putting more than one little contract on that 15R. Okay? As a charter, someone who understands advanced algorithmic delivery of price as taught by ICT, and this environment that is algorithmic in nature, that is chaotic, but that does have defined, unrealized ranges that we can utilize within time for a predictive value. You can have a predictive value. You can have an expectancy. You can acquire information, data, statistics. You can build an edge in this market with these concepts. And I challenge you to challenge yourself to have a sense of urgency in the world that we live in, to maximize your opportunity. Live your best life. Support and strengthen those lesser than. Because the markets will provide. You are a protective force. Vibrate at your maximum potential. Make your decisions matter. Demand the precision that you know you have. Thank you, Michael. Have a great day, everyone.